All right. So Super Bowl is over with. Free agency is yet to begin, although teams have started tagging some of their players and preventing some of the best talent from hitting the free agent market. And we are 6 days away from the NFL Combine. Tonight we're joined by Kendall Whitley, co-worker,
What's up,
East West
Kendall?
Football Network, known as man for a long time now, long time in football years, man. Um, Cut my teeth, so to speak, in the business with this guy as far as the East West Network as a writer, as well as an analyst on a lot of the shows. So me and this man go back a long time, did a lot of work together. He's a New England Patriot content creator. Now, we all know the Patriots had a rough season this past season. Um, been a lot of rough sledding ever since Tom Brady left. Now, at least to say, man, when you lose a Hall of Fame quarterback for what? How many years there now?
Man, he's in the league, 25 years? He's with the Patriots, 21, 22 years? Went in Tampa for 3 years?
Yeah. So when you go from losing that type of consistency to the type of inconsistency you got at quarterback with a rookie, let's be honest. Mac Jones, I think, was overblown a little bit as far as from a physical talent standpoint, and you compare him to the rest of the quarterbacks in that class, none of those guys are really honestly lighting it up right now. You look at Trevor Lawrence. He's been inconsistent at best throughout his first 3 years in the league. Did have that big playoff comeback against the Chargers, but he also played terrible in the first half of that game. We all know what's going on with Justin Fields in Chicago. Is he going to be there? Is he not? He's got inconsistency going into year 4 for him. Zach Wilson doesn't know where the hell he's going to be next season. And another guy in Kellen Mond, who started out with the Minnesota Vikings, is gone from Minnesota. So that's been a questionable quarterback class. Say now, this quarterback class here, you never really know. You know, we look at what happened last year. A lot of people were down on C.J. Stroud, thought he was an average player, thought he wasn't athletic enough, thought he wasn't a quick enough decision maker, thought he played in a gimmick offense with Ohio State, and he stepped in and hit the ground running. Perfect storm with the right head coach, a defensive-minded head coach, a loaded defense that they've been building for 3. And then also you look at the fact that they had pieces on offense at the wide receiver position that worked out for him. So needless to say, enough goes into it as a quarterback coming in to this league that we call the NFL, but you really need the right pieces around you. Now, looking at what New England's got going on right now, quarterback seems to be the spot for you guys to go. You're looking at guys like Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. We discussed some of the names in the pre-show, and we're going to jump straight into the quarterback position in a minute. But what's going on in New England, man?
Well, I think you guys, one of those things you got to, where do you start? I do like the additions that, Drake, that they made, that the new staff has made. Gerard May he's made some pretty big additions. I like the fact that as a team, we're trying to evolve away from the Bill Belichick scheme. I like that. Well, number one, we got to have a quarterback. And as we all say, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't really have anybody. That's number one. So I think we got to have a quarterback. And then I think the offensive line, you got to address the offensive line. So I think it's once you get the quarterback, it makes a whole lot of things. That's what I'm a big believer in, that once you get your quarterback, you build your team from there. Then you've been hearing a lot of people say that you should just draft the best player available, maybe like Marvin Harrison, something like that. Pretty sure you guys are familiar with him. Y'all right there in that area. Joe Alt. But I'm speaking from a fan perspective. You're done with Bill Belichick is not the Elliott Wolf. He's now running the show. He used to run Green Bay. He ran Cleveland. We brought in Alonzo Highsmith from the U. So we got a bunch of guys and whatnot. AVP, Alex Van Pelt from Cleveland, Ben McAdoo. I like the style that Gerard Mayo has quietly built there in New England. And we just got to continue to build where it's a mixture of youth and veteran. But I just like, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have nothing. And I think right there with that number 3 overall pick, you have to go quarterback. If you're Gerard Mayo, you're trying to change the culture of this team. You start in free agency, and then you got to go to quarterback at that number 3 pick. You can't. How can you sell your fan base and the front on Joe Alt with the number 3 pick? or anything like that? I mean, how are you selling that to? I
Well,
mean,
you know what?
we do need tackle. We need tackle. We probably gonna do 2 tackles if we get rid of Winu. But is that moving the needle when you're in a division with Tua, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers? He's gonna be back for a couple years. Is that really
Right.
moving it? It's not. You got not saying these quarterbacks gonna hit. And my thing is, I don't want us to just take a quarterback just because he's there. Like if Caleb and Drake or Caleb and Jaden, if they go 1 and 2, and you like, oh, I don't want us just to just snag the guy just because he's there. We're not in love with him. Don't get him. Get the move back or get whoever, get Marvin Harrison and go from there. But I just don't want us to force ourselves to get one just because the first 2 teams ahead of us get a quarterback. If we really love Drake May, go get him. If we really love Caleb Williams, go get him. I mean, if you really love Jaden Daniels, go get him. Just don't take him just because he's there. Just say, oh, we got some. Don't take the leftovers from the first 2 teams. That's my biggest thing. As long as we take our guy, I think we'll be all right.
Well, Shanti, I want to set you up for something because you can attest to this. It's damn hard to find the guy at quarterback, man. Like, how many can't miss prospect quarterback classes have we seen over the past 15, 20 years that just fizzled out? Turned out nobody could play. Now, could those guys not play because they went to the wrong organization that wasn't insulated for them, wasn't nurtured, wasn't grown, went to a terrible system, terrible infrastructure, coaching was horrible? Or did they just not be able to play? It's difficult because, let me ask you this. If you look at the type of player, caliber-wise, Penei Sewell has become, 4 years later, would you rather have Penei Sewell on your team, or would you rather have Mac Jones? Or would you rather have Zach Wilson? Or would you rather have listen, I'm not a big Trevor Lawrence fan, but even at this moment, I think it's hard to sell a fan base when that first brick of the rebuild isn't a quarterback. And I understand that completely. But look where we're at now 3 years later. We could have took a quarterback. We could have took Fields, matter of fact. We passed on Fields for Penei Sewell because we felt that was the rock, that was the brick we wanted to begin to rebuild with. Joe Alder's a hell of a player, man. He is. He might be the best tackle in this draft, can play either side. And I would rather see y'all with him over seeing, I agree with you, over just reaching for a guy. Like, oh, you know what? Caleb is gone. Drake May is gone, so we just going to reach for a guy. But at the end of the day, we don't know if Caleb or Drake going to pan out.
You'd rather see us with who?
No, I'm saying that I would rather see with Joe Alt or over just drafting the guy just for the sake of drafting them. The thing is this, like I said, we think all of these dudes are can't miss in February until we find out they all miss in August and September, October, November, December.
Yeah. And see, that's where I'm like, see, if Matt Jones,
if you don't have the guy, you just stuck in limbo at quarterback with somebody that you don't really want to pay, a Daniel Jones.
Yeah, but we don't know if we're going to be able to draft this high again. This is the first time we draft this high since we took Drew Bledsoe. So if let's just say we take a tackle, and then next year we just average. Let's just say we're picking like in the 15 or something like that next year. Like we don't expect to be this bad again. And have you seen the quarterback crop next year?
If you don't have a quarterback, you will be though. That's the whole thing. If y'all start Bailey Zappi for 17 weeks, 17 games, you will be.
I understand that, but what you're doing who's coming out next year that's really going to change the trajectory of your franchise?
We don't know.
Huh?
Yeah. I mean, we don't know right now, but we're talking about a whole year though, man.
Well, I mean, I could say this, when you get to the quarterback position, I think it's always a crapshoot. You know what I'm saying? Walt and Kendall knows this. I mean, unless you a can't miss prospect. I mean, is Caleb Williams a can't miss prospect? You know what I'm saying? Is he like guy that you gotta have, because he don't wow me like that either. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he started out like that. But you know how it is. They pick through you for 7 months until all of a sudden you ain't shit as a prospect. Now all of a sudden Caleb Williams ain't nothing. Yeah, then he had the issue with the crying and then painting his fingernails, and now they just picking through him. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen through in the draft process. he probably gonna not interview well and rub some people the wrong way, kind of like how Kayvon Thibodeau did. One of those unusual personalities. That's kind of what he is. And
so, well, right, real quick. Okay, you're Gerard Mayo, a rookie head coach. You're not under the Bill Belichick wings no more. Bill Belichick is gone, long gone. It's your team. It's you and Elliot Wolf's time to run the show. Your fan base is looking for a new culture. How do you sell them on taking Joe off when Roger Goodell goes up there with the card and say with the third pick in the 24 NFL draft? How did you sell to your fan base Joe off? So you're telling me what are we doing for agency? We're going to give Baker Mayfield some money. Jacoby Brissett. I'm not signing up for 17 games of Jacoby Brissett next year.
Hey,
I mean,
Brad Holmes sold it to our fan base.
Huh?
He came in. He made a tackle, and made him a right tackle his very first pick when we could have took Justin Fields.
Okay, but yeah, you're right. But like my thing is, I think it's two ways to build a team. You can just throw the rookie quarterback out there and just see what you do in free agency, or you can like build it from the ground up and get your tackle and kind of like y'all did, got a tackle, got a receiver, got some defensive pieces, golf was there, whatnot. Y'all fortunate to have golf. I just think with the Patriots, you're probably the bottom 5 team in the league right now. You need a culture change. Coach said, give me Marvin Harrison. If you're not going to take quarterback, get Marvin Harrison. You need something that's going to sell some tickets. You know what I mean? No fans ain't packing that stadium to go see Joe Alt block. And I don't want to see Joe Alt blocking for Mac Jones or Bailey Zapp. To give me a break. I mean, do you want to turn to the Cleveland Browns? And
man, listen, you already know how I feel. I would trade up. You already know how I feel. If it's a quarterback you want, I'm trading the hell up. And then y'all right there in striking distance. I wouldn't sit there and wait.
I think it's going to be Drake because what I'm hearing, Washington, if let's just assuming how it looks right now, let's just say Caleb Williams go to Chicago. Washington stand pat at 2. Cliff Kingsbury's system, he had Kyler Murray in it, he had Caleb Williams in it. Do you think? I think Jaden Daniels fits what he wants to do a little better than what Drake Mayfield. So I think we can stand polite. I think what I'm hearing from my people, we can stand pat at 3, and we'll be happy with Jaden or Drake May. Y'all
got to worry about the Raiders too. The Raiders hiding in the weeds. They could end up jumping you too.
Yeah. But I think, but then they have to give a haul though.
Atlanta Falcons.
It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot. You have to give.
It's gonna be arms to them 3 quarterbacks, I think.
Yeah, for me, I agree with what Kendall said. You know, as far as the infusion of life into this team, I think that when we took Penei Sewell, I think that was like the culture shift that we needed, the culture change. As far as the Lions go, the Patriots is a different deal. Joe Alt is a good player. He really is. But I kind of agree with Kendall. I mean, I think that they need an infusion of something. I don't know what it is. Kendall way more in touch with the Patriots football than I am. But that I see from afar. I know they got a decent squad on defense. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like they kind of need that one piece on offense. Because think about it, a good receiver. A decent receiver. I'm gonna say Marvin Harrison is above decent. I mean, he's probably your bay. You know what? He's not my favorite guy, but Marvin Harrison, listen, he worth a number 3 pick in this draft, man. To me,
and I would rather have him be picking this high again, and you already don't have talent, and you know what I mean. So
you need to get some talent on that.
You need
that
talent.
Side of the ball. Yep, of course. Yep, it's like you got to start with somebody to start the talent infusion on offense on that team, and I agree. Right now, I would absolutely go with the offensive skill player if I was a Patriots.
And I don't think it's a full blown rebuild. I think the defense is fine. As a safety, as some depth there. If we come out in free agency and let's just say we sign a Jonah Williams. I know you already did a free agency, you sign a Jonah Williams. You re-sign Michael Wenyu. You add a Calvin. We're gonna have $85 million probably in cap space. So, I know we're talking right now on February 20th, but our needs might change when we get to the draft. If we can go out and burn some cash, like Gerard Mayo say, it's not a full-out rebuild. That offense need to rebuild, but we get 2 tackles, get a wide receiver. You could just throw Drake May, Jaden Daniels right there in 3, and you got yourself a squad right there. I'm not talking Super Bowl, but you got a decent team that you can do something with. You got plenty of money, and you got a top 5 or top 3 pick. So I mean, if we go out and free agents and we sign 2 tackles, I think Joe Alt that goes out the window, or Ola Fashano with it that goes out the window. And then you gotta get your quarterback best player on the board. You gotta go Drake May, Jaden Daniels. You got to, and go from there. You need a culture change, man. You need some talent on that offense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, without doubt, we all got a chance to see exactly what the Patriots quarterback situation looked like the last 2 years. So, I mean, I get it. It's just damn hard landing the guy. Like, we done seen so many of these guys turn out to just be average to below average quarterbacks. The problem is when you're drafted in the top 5, top 10, first round, or whatever, you're expected to be like, look at Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh. Like, Pickett has been bad these first couple seasons. Now, he missed a lot of time this season, but Pickett has been terrible. And this is
a perfect example.
And that's a guy that had a ton of experience. That's what scares me about, and we're going to get into these quarterbacks now, but that's what partly scares me about these seniors. And these super seniors, these dudes who went into the league, and then in a blink of an eye, they're going to be 25. And then next thing you know it, they're going to be 26. Like, the track record for these guys panning out and becoming good isn't really high at all. You know, you got a guy like Russell Wilson, but for the most part, there's a lot of Brandon Whedons and Chris Winkies, and to a more recent example, Desmond Ritter, and being here in Detroit, we've discussed the same issue with Hendon Hooker. Like, he's got history going against him because you don't see guys come at that age and really be successful. Because a lot of times you look at the fact that, okay, well, if you were really that good, you would have left college 2 years ago. Like, you got these guys that spend 4 years, 5 years. Now you got guys spending 6, 7 years trying to come into the league. Like, you're going to be nothing but a career backup. That's kind of what it is. But, man, let's jump straight into this because we got one senior right there, right at the top of this list right here, Jaden Daniels. Spent a lot of the time, I think, was it 3 years? No, he's been 4 years at Arizona State under former NFL head coach Herm Edwards and current Vegas head coach Antonio Pierce. Connection right there. I like Jaden a lot, man. He's a big-time playmaker. He's fast. He displayed how fast he really is at Arizona State and at LSU. I'm surprised they ran him as much as they did. I didn't like the fact that they put him in situations where he was just getting hit way entirely too much. Like, he was taking on people he had no issue with taking on. He had no business really taking on. But another thing you got to look at with him, with those LSU quarterbacks, is the fact that they always play with a shitload. Like, they're what the Ohio State of the South. Like, being honest about it, down south. And you know what, 3 guys that could be top 70 picks in this draft at the receiver position, maybe. So I don't know. I mean, you got Jaden Daniels, Sam Hartman. I know that's one of Shanti's favorite quarterback. Devin Leary, who been around, came from NC State a couple years ago. He's another one of those super seniors, man. Drake May and J.J. McCarthy, man. Let's start with J.J. real quick. We were talking about J.J. In the pre-show. It's kind of I'm not the biggest J.J. McCarthy fan. I think he's, and this is coming from me, Detroit, Michigan fan, supporter of Michigan State, Central Michigan, Eastern, all of those schools. But I'm going to be impartial once we start talking about the NFL draft. And I think a lot of people want to blame it on Jim Harbaugh and the run-heavy type of pro-style offense he plays. I believe if he had more confidence in JJ throwing the ball down the field with consistency and not turning the ball over and making the right reads and getting through the progressions properly, he would have let JJ do it. I think JJ got the talent, but my scare is that JJ is going to go somewhere. Someone's going to see his arm talent, his ability to run, because he can run too, and they're going to throw him out there. It's the CJ Stroud situation now. Even Anthony Richardson with the Colts. Before Anthony Richardson went down with that shoulder-ending surgery, he he was out there cutting up. He was starting to hit his stride. He was throwing the ball on the money from the pocket. He was getting out and move and then hitting guys and improvising. And Bryce Young struggled in his situation. So when y'all get these guys right here, man, how does JJ fit into this? Because Ashanti, you done watched a whole bunch of them. I know Kendall, you done watched a bunch of them. But Ashanti, what do you overall think of JJ?
Let's see. This draft, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 7 guys that I'm really intrigued with, including Joe Milton, which I don't know if Joe Milton a prospect. But right now, I'll just say this. I got him 5th on my list. I got him rated. I got Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bo Nix, and then I got JJ. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say this about JJ. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision to draft him because it's hard. I think anybody that says they got to read enticing. On him, I think you just putting it
it's
out.
It's a shot in the dark.
Yeah, it's a shot in the dark. You know, you got a lottery ticket and you hope you cash in, that type of thing. With JJ, I think that he is coachable. I think somebody already put a system quarterback, and I was thinking kind of the same thing. He can make some throws, I think, when given the talent, but it's easy to do it on a 2:00 Saturday game when you're playing against, Wisconsin or Purdue, or you know what I'm saying. Now you're going against, Sauce Gardner, or you know what I'm saying, the best corners in the league. So I don't know if JJ McCarthy, if you was to tell me if he was a top 20 pick, I would raise my eyebrows. If you was to tell me he went in the 3rd round, I would kind of nod my head and say that's probably where where he's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to JJ. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we Michigan fans and everything like that, but I got to tell the truth. I mean, I wouldn't take JJ, he's not. I've seen some mock draft. I think even Joe Klatt.
Not in the first round. You wouldn't take him in the first. I love
period? Joe Klatt is hell of an analysis, college football.
Joe Klatt loved Michigan too.
Yeah, he got him in the top 20, man. And I thought that's awfully high. Like they got him over Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. I would take both of them guys over him. You know what I'm saying? Easy. You know what I'm saying? And wouldn't even think twice about it. So. I mean, he does have some traits, but like I said, he hasn't thrown the ball enough to me. I thought Cornelius Johnson is a high-level receiver. I think Roman Wilson's a high-level receiver, and they never really got a chance. You know what I'm saying? It was weird because we were so top-heavy with the run game. So
it was a run first offense.
Of course, Michigan. Offensive line. Yeah,
but I will say, whenever JJ did get the chance to throw the ball, I mean, he looked at decent. Well, he put up some decent numbers. I think the thing is, a lot of people are just out on him because we didn't get to see it that much. Watching a lot of Michigan games this year, I felt like they were kind of hesitant to let him play and be him. Felt like they were holding him back. It was just run with what's the running
Blake and Donovan.
Yeah. It seemed like it was just run with Corum and Donovan all game and whatnot. They kind of held back from allowing him to throw the ball and show what he could do. But I do think he's a prospect that at the combine next week in Indy, in his pro days and top 30 visits, it's going to be huge for him. The first interview he's going to have is at the combine. He's going to interview, he's going to throw whatnot, and then let's not forget these guys the top guys didn't participate in the Senior Bowl. Yeah. So the first interview for them is going to be the combine next week, where they arrive this Sunday in Indy, and then next then it's going to be the pro days. People they're going to be in the awe, they're going to wow. He's going to be somebody who's going to show out in the pro days or whatnot. But I want to see him throwing to some wide receivers he don't really know like that at the combine next week and see how the ball comes out and how he runs. I think he's going to run pretty good if he does run. He's going to run pretty good and whatnot. I think he's a smart kid. I'm very interested to see. I've been hearing top 10 on him, but I can see a team late. I can see like the late 20s or something like that. I can see.
I think JJ is a massive project, bro.
I can see really do. Go ahead.
It's like even when I like the physical skill set with him, it's like the time he spent at Michigan, y'all didn't really not necessarily rebuild him, but y'all didn't really get him prepared. He didn't throw the ball enough. That's the whole problem. Like, and if you talk to like a lot of former NFL GMs and scouts, two things that's critical with evaluating quarterbacks coming out of college is how many games did he play? How many throws? It's not just the fact that a guy had 38 starts in college, but if he only had 800 throws, it's kind of like, no, that's not good enough. You know, the experience just ain't there. And I look at JJ as kind of like Aaron Rodgers. Even though I don't think his delivery coming out, I think his delivery is a little bit worse than Aaron Rodgers. You know, the fact that Aaron Rodgers played in that Tepper system and he coached all of his quarterbacks to hold the ball as high as they did, and it was a lot of issues going on with Aaron. And Green Bay would even say to this day, they had to completely rebuild Aaron Rodgers. And I think JJ is real similar to the last guy that's on this spot right here in this section of the list, and that's Austin Reed of Western Kentucky. Backed up Bailey Zappi for a minute before Zappi left, went to the NFL, and now plays for the New England Patriots. But Zappi's a guy who put up massive numbers. And I understand Zappi put up huge numbers too in that same system. But this dude has big-time arm talent. But I think he has the same issue throwing the football that JJ has, where no one ever cleaned up that wild elbow and that overexerted delivery. So he's another. But the thing is, Reed is old now. He's a vet. He's about to be 25 soon.
Dang.
You know, so but he's another one of those guys. Benefited from the COVID situation, but JJ, they're going to always lean towards the young guy with the high ceiling. That's just how it is. But Austin Reed, man, you're looking at last season behind a rough offensive line the last couple seasons. He had 41 touchdowns, 11 picks. This season, he followed up with even worse offensive line, 31 touchdowns, 11 picks. And he was playing with Malachi Corley, and they ran a whole lot of screens within that system, but dude made a lot of big-time throws within that system, and he's a guy that I think can probably be a day 3 pick, depending on how far, at least how early most of these guys go. But are y'all surprised that – you know what, let's talk about Spencer Rattler real quick.
That's what I was about to say.
Because Spencer's talented too.
Yeah, he is. On JJ McCarthy, real quick, I can see a team like the Minnesota Vikings taking a chance on him later on. Some uncertainty there with Kirk Cousins and whatnot, how he's going to bounce back. And they already got a team that already made to win right now. They got receivers, they got offensive line, running game, got some defensive pieces coming out there. I think it'd be a good fit in Minnesota. I can actually see him going with the Rams too at San Francisco. I mean, and the LA Rams with that situation. I can actually see JJ there. Spencer Rattler's interesting to me. He kind of reminds me of Mahomes a little bit, how he throws the ball, not how he plays, but how he throws the ball. He has like a Mahomes look to him, to me or whatnot. He's undersized. I think he's short though. He's on the shorter side, I believe.
He about 6 foot.
Yeah, 6'1", at the most 6'1", yeah.
He produced all week at the Senior Bowl. I think he's another guy that if he can line up at the combine and his pro days, top 30 visits, his he can soar. He like through the draft or whatnot. I'm not saying first round, but maybe in the third or fourth round, I think he probably can go there, man, because somebody's gonna take a chance on him.
Yeah. He definitely got some NFL GMs that's gonna be intrigued. Like you said, Kendall, it's a good point. Talking about Spencer Rattler as well as JJ McCarthy. I think those two guys right there. And Michael Penn is going to be very interesting to see how they fare in the combine, because like you said, it could be, that could be a ticket for them guys to get drafted higher than people might think of them right now. You know what I'm saying? Because we know Rattler got some talent, at least at the Senior Bowl. I mean, he did
number one prospect in high school.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, right. Spencer Rattler could be one of those guys that, people are already saying, like, he ain't no, because he pretty much got booted out of Oklahoma. And then and then now with South Carolina, he kind of really didn't really make an impact there. He had a better ending to his career, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? He didn't set the world on fire. I mean, he's just a guy. I mean, it's just, I think a lot of these guys are in the same boat. And I do think the combine is going to tell the story on a lot of these guys and start the process of them maybe, having people think a different opinion. Because let's be honest, I think it is top heavy. And then you get it's good. I see you got Caden Slovis, which I wouldn't. He transferred from USC, right? I think that was
from USC, then went to Pittsburgh, and I think this is the third school now. Or did he go to BYU? He went to BYU, I think, last year too.
Yeah. So Jordan Travis he's an interesting guy, as well, from Florida State. They had a really good seat.
If he hadn't got hurt, what do you think Jordan Travis would be, like a second rounder, maybe?
Yeah,
too small.
I
think he's too small.
I was gonna say, it depends. I was thinking maybe like he would be a product of the team's success, sort of like Stetson Bennett a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Stetson Bennett isn't hella physical. Physicality doesn't win a contest with Stetson Bennett, but I think because Georgia was so successful, won a chance, then he automatically got drafted. That type of. I think Jordan Travis would have been in that same boat. You know what I'm saying? Because of the success of the team, but. It's going to be interesting. This quarterback, I'm glad kind of we don't need, at least for the Lions aspect of it, I'm kind of glad we don't have to pick from these guys, man, because to me, Drake May is like damn near the surest thing. I'm telling you. I mean, even Caleb Williams, everybody knows he's got all-world talent, man, but I'm just glad I wouldn't have to draft that kid, man. I'm just he don't do it for me. I'm just gonna say it right now. I would take Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams. He just doesn't. He's got the big playability, and that's what everybody sees. And trust me, like Brendan Rice, I think he gonna get that kid drafted because Brendan Rice is a damn good wide receiver.
Man,
you know
he is
what I'm
a
saying?
stud, Brendan Rice.
And I don't think the Pac-12 is like hella defenses being played. I don't know, man. I wouldn't touch that kid with my franchise. That's all I have to say with Caleb Williams. It's a lot of things that you could do to – everything's going to have to be right for Caleb Williams, man. I think he's got to go to the right team because if he doesn't, it's going to be – I don't know if he's mentally strong. Like you just said, Wall, that was a good point by you. Because we always make an assumption off what we see, obviously, right? So for me, he rubbed me the wrong way from the start. I don't know. I hope he proves me wrong. Like I said, I don't wish nothing bad on none of these guys because I want them all to make the league, that type of thing. But it's just go ahead, Kendall.
Yeah, then you hear the stuff about his parents, his dad wanting the ownership and this and that.
Yeah, man.
It's kind of seemed like LeVar Ballish a little bit to me. It's what it seems like.
Yeah, that's all.
Do we know if stuff was even really true though? Or was it just media postings about it, about all this stuff that reportedly he wanted part ownership of a team? And
I haven't heard him come out deny it.
I think he don't really say much though. We being honest about it. It's always some anonymous quote, but that just goes back to what I was saying, man. It's so difficult. We don't know what's inside these cats, man. We can look at a guy like Spencer Rattler, and he's a guy that's a victim of what a lot of these players go through, which is you are who you were 4 years ago.
Yeah.
We remember who the attitude-ready kid was coming out of high school, and you lost your job at Oklahoma, and you've been at South Carolina for 2 or 3 years, and that's where, and we're going to hold you to that. We don't know if that type of situation is going to spark something within Spencer Rattler, and he lands with the right team in the NFL and takes off. Because like I said, look at Patrick Mahomes. When Patrick Mahomes came out, I remember one single person, and this was a random YouTube scout. I forgot what my man page was, but he was the only one. I watched about an hour-long breakdown he had of Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech. He was the only person at that point in time. People will sit up now and say that they had, stock in this. Oh, I said Mahomes was going to be great. He was the only person I heard say that if that dude gets with the right head coach and the right offensive system, he's going to be the best player in football. Only person. Now, people lie and say shit like, oh, I knew it was coming. Nobody saw that coming. I saw a dude with a big arm that was erratic as hell.
Yeah. And
had terrible footwork. But the problem is, I think a lot of times teams see these players as finished products. And you look at what Mike Tomlin said in an interview about how coaches don't want to coach anymore. They don't want to groom these players. They don't want to grow these players the way we actually like to do here in Detroit. Now, who knows? Mahomes could have went to a different organization. It could have been terrible. Or Mahomes maybe he just has it within him. That's what you can't measure. That's why I think so many of these quarterbacks flop out. We see physical talent, but we don't know if these dudes got the nerves to do it. You can have the physical talent to play quarterback in the NFL, but do you have the nerves to do it? You know, and that's what we don't know about these guys. We could be wrong about Caleb Williams. We could all be wrong about Drake May. Drake May could turn out to be a bust. Maybe he can't handle the pressure. Because those last 2 games of the regular season, Drake ain't look all that hot. Especially that game against Clemson. That was a terrible showing. It was 8 scouts there that night too. Yeah. So I'm just saying, man, it's difficult, bro. It's difficult. Now, to piggyback on what Kendall said earlier in the show about Detroit situation, you're right. We were kind of blessed to even have Jared Goff in that situation and for Goff to turn out to be okay in our situation. Because what if we would have had to draft a quarterback and we would have drafted a bad one? Do you know how further along that would have set us back? To blow a first-round pick on a quarterback? What if we would have took Kenny Pickett? Just being honest about it. Like, when teams start reaching for them quarterbacks, and it's going to happen. That's what, as Lions fans, we're hoping. We're hoping that by the time the 29th pick roll around, there's going to be some quarterback-starved team that wants to trade back into the end of the first round and give up a second, and we can get 2 seconds and be good with that. But I'm just saying, man, like Keaton Slow has been around forever. Austin Reed been around forever. You just don't know. Look how iffy we were on C.J. Stroud a year ago.
Yep. Went to the perfect situation.
I was like, you know what? I thought that he kind of had the most upside, to be honest with you. Like the most like ready to play. I mean, out of all those guys, that I was like CJ kind of ready because you seen it like the offense from the confidence he had, the receivers he had to scheme. It was just like from start to finish, it was like CJ kind of was most consistent guy. But like you said, well, you know, the sentiment, which exactly what you were saying, you know, as far as all of these guys, man. I mean, I just think every position is like that. I mean, like Joe Alt, you brought up Joe Alt, right? Now, like you said, if he's every bit of the player Penei Sewell is, right, then absolutely picking him third would be like the logical. But you know, Joe Alt's going to be on your team.
I get it doesn't matter if the organization doesn't get anything else right, because if the organization lands the left tackle who's a Hall of Famer, but they never get anything else right around him, it doesn't matter. Now you just got Joe Thomas in Cleveland. Yeah. like the Browns never accomplished nothing with Joe Thomas.
Yeah.
Joe was a hell of a player, though.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame tackle.
Now you got now we on I see you got the running backs up. Okay, now these guys, man, I thought last year's class was a little bit better. I could be wrong. I'm gonna just tell you off the top of my head. Not top of my head, my list. I had the obvious guys, obviously Blake Corum. I like Chase McClendon from Bama. I think he runs hard as hell. I like him. I love Dylan Johnson. I think he might be like a bell cow back in the league from Washington. Audric Estime from Notre Dame, and then Keelan Robinson. Well, how you tell me how you feel about him from Texas? I mean, you think he's kind of intriguing. I don't know where he fits in. Like what? I'd have to look at more tape on him, but he could be a player. You know what I'm saying? Following in Bijan Robinson's footsteps. I don't know, but those are just some guys that intrigue me a little bit.
It's difficult because I mean he played a decent amount. Once Brooks got hurt, Brooks was supposed to have been the guy at Texas. Mm-hmm. Probably the most talented back they had this year.
Brooks was out for the year, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yep. Yeah. And I think last year, you know, you looked at Bijan. Bijan was visioned as a can't miss prospect.
Yeah.
From, you know what I'm saying, as soon as he came out of high school, the whole time he was at Texas. And, you know, Jahmyr was viewed as a first-round talent, but most people had Bijan Robinson ranked
Bijan
ahead
over
of
Gibbs.
yeah,
Yeah, hell
yeah.
yeah, hell
But
yeah.
if you look, I think there's a lot of really good running backs, man. Now, do we have the generational talents? We don't know right now. But just even Trey Benson of Florida State. Trey
I
Benson
like him.
started the
I like
season
Trey
really,
Benson.
really hot. Yeah, I do
Mhm.
too, man. He's a big time physical running back. 6'1", 220. Yards after contact, has a nose for
Mhm.
the end zone, has some breakaway speed. Only thing is he got that Leonard Fournette body.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
what kind of scary. Like he's built like a skinnier Leonard Fournette. Like now, I'm not saying he got Leonard Fournette's views towards healthism and treadmills and actually taking care of his body completely. But yeah, he's got that body type. But I think Trey Benson is a hell of a talent, man. And even what Mayan Williams of
From
Ohio State.
Ohio State, yeah.
We've seen a lot of Mayan Williams over the years. I like Mayan Williams as well. It all comes down to what type of system these running backs go into, and do they have an offensive line or not? Because even Blake Corum, Blake is small,
Yeah.
Mhm.
very powerful runner though, strong. A lot of people make the Maurice Jones-Drew comparisons. I think Maurice Jones is a more physical runner coming out of UCLA when he came out, but
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to how teams view Blake Corum at the next level.
Yeah.
Like if you're a zone scheme team, a lot of outside zone, lots of pulling. If you can get Blake out in space a lot, even though I do think Blake can run the ball between the tackles pretty well if you're given the opportunity to.
Yeah.
But now
If
we're
he's
talking about Blake moving up to a whole different level.
Yep. Yep. And I think having Blake Corum as a guy sort of like what Seattle did with Kenneth Walker,
Yeah.
kind of giving him another guy to kind of be, to kind of like where he doesn't have to be the bell cow. Corum is interesting because I think he's the lower body. I mean, his legs is huge. I mean, I think he built to be a guy that's hard as hell to tackle. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. But I think when it comes down to it, like you said, he may have to get better vision to me. I mean, let's be honest, that Michigan offensive line was like hell of a. I mean, that offensive line, the three of us could have ran through that hole, man, through that line and not get touched. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be the only thing if he goes to a team that sucks at offensive line, like if you send him to like New Orleans or something and you know what I'm saying? And then he be stopped at the line of scrimmage. I think that he's a guy that if he can get loose for a couple yards, then he can turn it. But if you meet him at the point of attack, I don't know if he's got the wiggle. I don't know if he's got like the elusiveness to shed tackle. He can if he gets a run and start, going downhill. But what I'm saying is, I think Jahmyr Gibbs had to learn that. I mean, remember Jahmyr Gibbs' first 2 or 3 games where Jahmyr Gibbs was getting hit at the line of scrimmage, and he had to kind of learn. Everybody know he fast as hell, but he had to learn that part of the game. I think during the season, and he got better. You know what I'm saying? I think Corum's going to be the same way. So yeah. What go down, Walt? It was another guy I seen that I know, not Frank Gore Jr. Go down, Walt. Is it another guy past Guernado from Louisville? Man, it was one other guy.
I like Dylan Johnson too.
I love Dylan Johnson, bro. Dylan Johnson, Walt. Y'all put an asterisk by that kid's name. I think that's the guy that's going to be like the next talented running back. I really believe that, man. That kid from Washington can play, and it was almost, what was the last game they played? A championship game. I mean, he was noticeably hurt, and that kid still balled, man. I mean, he, getting tackled, and pretty much everybody knew he was getting the ball in that championship game, and he still performed, man. And it was really good to see.
I don't think it'd be no running backs going in the first round this year.
Yeah. I don't see, right. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's
Kendall. The talent,
unless you're one of those teams picking at the back end of the first round. Like let's say, yeah, I think a team like Kansas City could add another offensive weapon. Because at the end of the day, I do like Pacheco as a change of pace back, but he doesn't run smart enough. Like I still think no. I mean, not even no. It's like it's obvious. It's obvious when you watch him play. Like, he runs with a lot of heart, a lot of anger and a lot of heart, but he leaves a lot of yards on the field. And them yards per contact with him, I noticed too, once the guys get their hands on him, is over. He goes down. I still think that, yep.
A team like Baltimore or something like that, I think they might take one.
I think Kansas City, man, they won again, so it's kind of hard to say they got to go do this. I get they got to go do that. I think either I would prefer to see Mahomes with a big time receiver, but if they choose to not go the receiver route, I do think a playmaking type running back, if they're a team that can go get a stud at running back. You know why? Because Mahomes is in the prime of his career. Y'all winning. You just need somebody else on that offense that can make plays. So let's say if he had a Jahmyr Gibbs. Remember last offseason we were talking about the possibility of Kansas City trading up to get Bijan? Like, it made sense for them. If you got a Bijan Robinson for the next 5 years or 6 years of Patrick Mahomes' career, of his prime.
Yeah.
That's how you consistently keep winning. But shit, I like Isaiah Davis, being honest with you, man. I really do. Isaiah Davis, big time running back, bro. Y'all may have not seen him.
Is my man from Kentucky? No, that's Ray.
No, that's Ray Davis. No, that's Ray Davis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, Isaiah Davis from South Dakota State. I know a lot of people didn't get a chance to really watch too many games from him. Neither did I. Once the season was over with, I was able to go back, check out some film, watch some games from him. Dude's a monster, man. And one thing's for sure, I think running back is probably one of the easier to evaluate positions because it's easy to see once a running back gets handed the football when his natural instincts take over. You either got natural instincts as a running back or you don't, and you can't hide it. That's one thing about it. A lot of dudes look like Hercules, built the way they supposed to be built and this and that, got the size, got the speed, got the agility, but can't run worth a damn. Don't know how to set up holes. Don't know how to be patient at all in pass protection. They can't do the little nuanced things about being a running back. That dude can. I like him a lot. And I think if he can get somewhere in that 4.53, 4.55 range, he's a dude who could potentially be like maybe the third back off the board. Because you even got Marshawn Lloyd at USC, another big-time talented running back, man. It's a lot of them. Frank Gore Jr.
Yeah.
And maybe, those two guys, like you just said, I'm definitely going to do some tape on Isaiah Davis. I didn't know nothing about this guy. So I definitely going to get in with him, get in there. And I want to look at Frank Gore Jr. is interesting. I mean, obviously, who doesn't know Frank Gore Jr.? So I haven't followed him. I'm going to be honest with you. Those two guys, I'm going to put an asterisk by those two guys too. I respect your opinion. So obviously Isaiah Day, I know nothing about him. So Ray Davis, that's what I thought you mentioned, and he don't do it for me. But yeah.
Oh, Ray Davis.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, definitely, I take your opinion, Walt, on those two guys.
I mean, it's still more talented dudes. Yeah, you're talking about Marshawn Lloyd, Jace McClellan of Alabama. Bucky Irvin. So yeah, even your guy Dylan Johnson. It's not the perceived elite generational talent at the top, but this is a damn good crop of running backs this year, man.
Yeah.
Joe, what's up, man?
What up, Joe?
What's up, guys?
What you think about the running back room this year?
Man, it's really deep. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, dude, like the names you keep pulling up, like Marshawn Lloyd and like McClellan and Dylan Johnson, and I mean, it's probably one of deeper. There's no star talent at the top, but there's some good depth here. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's a really good depth at the running back position. It's kind of like the offensive line, in my opinion. Like, they're both like, there's not really one generational guy. There's a bunch of good guys that you could use.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends what you want too. Like, you want a elusive back, you want a power back. There's some power backs in this class too.
So let me ask you this: if you're Kansas City and you're picking at the end of the first round, do you take maybe the fifth receiver left on the board, a sixth receiver left on the board, because receivers are going to start falling off, especially after this combine. I think a guy like Jalen Polk is a guy who, before it's all said and done, Polk is going to be in the first round.
Yeah.
And so if you're Kansas City, because I was just telling them before you joined us, I do like Isaiah Pacheco, but I think they need a more well-rounded, smarter running back, a more patient running back.
Right.
If you're Kansas City, could you, if none of the running backs are off the board yet, and you're Kansas City picking where you're picking at 32, do you take the number one running back that's on the board?
Who would that be, though? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, whoever you view it at that point, whether it's Trey Benson or it's Marshawn Lloyd. I like Trey Benson for him better, for Mahomes better.
Yeah.
But whoever
Even
you view as the number one running back.
Even a guy like, okay, if you say if Kansas City's going to draft a running back in the first round at 32, I mean, you'd have to think about a guy who can catch out of the backfield too. You know what I'm saying? Because Kansas City, the one thing that Pacheco cannot do is catch out of the backfield. I mean, it's Ben McKinnon all the time that's been catching out of the backfield. So, I mean, it would be kind of like who you grade as the best like pass catcher that can be a good running back at tempo. I mean, Quorum is all right, but Trey Benson,
Dylan Johnson, something like that.
Yeah, Dylan Johnson would be a good one.
Yeah, yep. And then Keelan Robinson. Yeah. Cody, you know what? Will Shipley from I was
about to say that.
That was the guy I was thinking of. Now I hope Will, now this I was gonna say, Will need to have a good combine, I think.
I think he will.
You know,
Will's athletic, man. Will's athletic. I think he gets the unathletic white guy kind of tag unfairly.
Yeah.
Like
No, he does.
Will's athletic.
Yeah,
No,
that was the guy. Walt, that was the guy I want you to look for. Yeah, Will Shipley. That's him.
The guy who's really gonna be a great player is not a great player, but he's gonna show out of the combine. It's Cody Schrader.
Oh, yeah, from Missouri.
Yeah.
He's a beast, man. I don't know, man. He's a pretty good player.
Yeah. Like I said, Will Shipley is interesting, man. I think Will Shipley's been a mainstay name in college football for the last few years.
Yeah.
And interesting to see how he's used. Would it be funny if he turned out to be the next Christian McCaffrey, though?
Yeah.
Oh, man. But, all right, let's move past some of these running damn, this is a long-ass list of running backs. All right, Jaden Sherton, the mom of Tyrone Tracy at Purdue.
Oh, I like
Tyrone
that one right
Tracy.
there, Mayan Williams.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy's a beast, too. Mayan Williams, Jalen Wright in Tennessee. There's a lot of talented backs. And I think let's just talk about this strictly right now from Lions and Patriots perspectives. I understand what we have as Lions fans. We got Jahmyr Gibbs and we got Montgomery. I wouldn't rule out if there's a talented ass running back, because and Ashanti, you and I have discussed this over the past few shows. I would draft a running back every year, if not every other year.
Mm-hmm.
You have to.
You have to.
Because and never have too much talent at that position.
Right.
And it's cheap
Injuries
talent.
Yeah.
But I mean, just think about like this. Like, this year, we almost, for Lions perspective, I know Kendall is a Patriots fan, but like we were down to our third running back at one point, almost down to our fourth running back. So I mean, like, during the course of a season, you're gonna need all those guys. Like it's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
Kendall, who's the number 2 back for the Patriots? I can't think his name.
Well, it was Zeke, but Zeke is a free agent, so I ain't no telling if he'll be back. Probably Kevin Harris. Kevin Harris be the backup running back. You got
from Bama, right?
Yeah. No, Kevin Harris went to South Carolina.
South Carolina. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin
I'm
Harris.
thinking of Christian Harris. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of unfair to running backs today, though, with the way we play. Well, not we don't play them, but the way the organization, the league plays them, because like the main reason you want to keep reloading that talent at the running back position is so you never caught in the tight squeeze. So like if you're in a situation, let's say Montgomery has another big year next year and he wants a raise.
Yep.
We don't have to necessarily get held over at gunpoint by him. We could have Mayan Williams already in the stable. Or a Trey Benson, even though I'd seriously doubt if they would take a Trey Benson. They would have to take one of these running backs in the first 3 rounds, and I think that would be kind of silly. But, I mean, they do have 2 picks in the 3rd round. So if there's one of these talented quality backs in that situation, and you feel like you've addressed all the issues in free agency and the first 2 rounds of the draft, and you want to splurge on a talented running back, you may do something like that. It all depends on what happens in free agency. But so we're all in agreement that this running back group is pretty nice.
I'll tell you the kid that's going to be pretty damn good is, I know he's the last name on that list, but it's Jalen Wright, man. He just kind of gives me these
Yeah.
like he gives me like these Kroger blue saving card of Alvin Kamara a little bit. Just a little bit. Like he's not Alvin Kamara. He might be like he might be like the off brand, but he'd be pretty damn good for someone.
Yeah.
Hey man, listen. Let's get to the receivers. Javon Baker talented as hell.
Oh man,
I'm gonna just throw that out
that's
here
my
right
guy,
now.
dude. Javon Baker, my guy.
He went to Alabama. It's funny how when you talk about a player at that type of school being talented, but then once you let people know, hey, he transferred from Alabama, becomes valid. Oh, he was good enough to go to Bama? Oh, well, he's all right then. Yeah. Baker talented as hell.
He reminds me of George Pickens a little. I see George Pickens in his game.
Yep.
I see some George Pickens in Javon Baker's game.
Yeah, he had a great.
I see more Calvin Ridley.
You see Calvin Ridley?
Yeah, he annihilated his competition at the Senior Bowl. I think that's the one guy that kind of really boosted him. And Spencer Rattler had good Senior Bowl weeks or whatever. Short yardage. He took advantage of everybody who guarded him. Man, it was incredible.
Him and Jamari Thrash. Yeah. I thought him and Jamari Thrash in the one-on-ones, as far as red zone targets, like they were unguardable.
Thrash is nice, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on him, Kendall. Thrash. Yeah. I'm gonna just tell you, Walt. Like I said, like what Joe said, like, okay, this is gonna be a position in the draft where y'all know, like, when off the top tier offensive linemen start going, they start going, right? When the running backs, if it's a couple, remember Jahmyr Gibbs went after Bijan Robinson, right? So I think receivers gonna be, it's gonna be a flurry of receivers that go maybe second roundish after the top tier guy, after Marvin Harrison obviously goes off the board, stuff like that. Dude, from Malachi Corley to Troy Franklin to Jalen McMillan. I told you I like all three guys from Washington. Jalen
A.D. Mantrick, Xavier Worthy.
Oh man, Ron Wilson, Johnny Wilson from Florida State. I'm telling you, this is the deepest receiver core I've seen in probably 3, 4, 5 years, man. You know what I'm saying? Where
Johnny Wilson scares me, man. Maybe because I got PTSD from the
I don't even
Harry.
Consider Johnny Wilson.
Yeah,
really?
He scared me. I dealt with the kid. Yeah, I dealt with.
I don't think Johnny Wilson's a football player.
I'll tell you, Johnny Wilson reminds me of, and he's playing the wrong position. So you got to put him in the right position. But he's playing. You got to play tight end. He reminds me a little bit of Darren Waller coming out of when Darren Waller came out of college.
Oh, you remember Julius Thomas from Denver?
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
But Darren Waller came out of Georgia Tech with as a wide receiver, and he was way out of position. I think it was the Ravens who drafted him, and he never clicked on. So
I just think this is a hell of a class right here, man. And you could get if you was to tell me, you like you said, Walt, you sitting there at the two third-round picks. I mean, you would be, depending on who's left and what you need, you take a chance on one of these guys, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I would. Lions. I would. Lions not out of the question because everybody thinks that our receiving core is set, and it's not. You know what I'm saying? Coming into this season, so we kind of got to get younger a little bit.
I think y'all need another wide receiver. Y'all got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Who's your number 2? Because Reynolds is a free agent, right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a legit number 2. I mean, Jameson may never be like the consistent routine pass catcher. He might just be the big play guy, but I'm not against any of this because none of the top guys I think going to even reach the 3rd round. No, but I will say this, we already know that once the draft starts to unfold, there's going to be somebody that falls into your pick that their asses should not have been there. And then you're going to have a decision to make. Like, let's say you want to take a corner. You may want to take a corner. We pissed off because the Lions passed on a corner at 29, and then they passed on the corner at 61. and now we sitting at the top of the third round, and for whatever reason, Keon Coleman is still on the board.
Mhm.
For whatever reason. Now, something bad will have to happen for him to fall to the third round, but shit happens sometimes. But let's say he's on the board at 61.
Guess
Yeah.
what?
Do you
Fuck
take-
that corner.
Do you want to take the ninth rated corner? Am I going to reach for a corner, or I'm going to take Keon Coleman?
Yeah.
You're saying
Fact.
screw the you're gonna be like literally like screw the corner. We're going to Keon Coleman. Like that's the way it goes.
Yep.
Yeah, or even Jalen Polk. Even though I think Jalen Polk is going to eventually, after he works out, Polk is going to be a first round pick.
Yeah, Jalen Polk and ball, man. Yep. I like Malachi Corley. I think people really don't know too much about him. Malachi Corley is a hell of a football player, man. Hell of a receiver.
He's Ben Johnson's type of offensive weapon. Somebody he can use horizontally.
Yeah,
not vertically. Everything is going to be horizontal with us.
If you want the guy that's gonna go horizontal, it's the kid right there, Jacob Cowan from Arizona. He's a fast MFer, man. You watch him at Arizona with that Jed Fish offense. Oh my god! It was
I want to ask y'all that too. Out of this group, who's gonna run the fastest? Because I got Troy Franklin.
Probably Troy
Franklin from Oregon.
I think I'm gonna go Cowan, to be honest. I literally think he's the fastest player in this draft by far.
Who, Jacob Cowan?
Yeah, I was gonna say. What about Worthy from Texas?
That's a close
I don't think Worthy's speed. I don't think Worthy's speed is on par with the guys we just mentioned, Troy Franklin and Cowan.
Worthy, he's explosive. I think he's more quick. He's fast, but he's explosive. He got that stop and start fast.
Oh,
I love Troy Franklin too.
Troy Franklin is like Ted Ginn Jr. fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
as far as like that open field breakaway speed, kind of like what Jameson had. Like he's out. He's out completely.
I'm gonna keep banging that drum till it goes dead, but I'm saying Cowan's gonna be the guy, man. I know a lot of people don't pay.
Yeah, for sure.
Arizona. I don't think a lot of people pay attention to Pac-12 after dark because it's like kind of a garbage conference. And Arizona wasn't that great, but Cowan was electric, man. That he ran that offense. Like he's legit. Like he's.
Who does he remind you of, Cowan?
Luke McCaffrey. Somebody mentioned Luke McCaffrey.
Nah, I think
Luke look out of place. He might be the one McCaffrey that can't play. Well, I don't know. Dylan ain't looking too hot either.
Dylan's a shitty. Dylan's the bad one, in my opinion.
The bad Mac.
Now this is a great part of the thing. I know, but I was going back to Cowan. I think he's more like he reminds me kind of like a Hill, but this kind of this what you got on the screen right here. Like, man, Cornelius Johnson as a possession wide receiver, he's pretty tall. Xavier from South Carolina, he's gonna be damn good. If I was Kansas City, that's the wide receiver I'll go after.
They lied to us though. We found out he's not 6'4". He's really 6'1".
He's 6'1".
They lied. College football lied to us.
All right. Well, if he's 6'1", 6'2", I still think that's good enough because, like, man.
The physical tools.
Mahomes they're gonna have to draft a whole set of wide receivers, bro, because they don't have any wide receivers at Rice, bro.
I like Rashee Rice. Right, I like the fact that Rashee was pissed off in the Super Bowl. That lets me know he cared.
Rashee's my guy, but the rest of those jokers, man, like Kadarius Toney, see you.
Valdez Scantling.
Valdez Scantling could go to hell too.
What y'all think about Lad McConkey?
He's quick. He's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, he's quick. He got some speed with him. He can run the hell out some damn routes. He looks like he reminds me of a tad quicker Hunter Renfrow. That's what he reminds me of, like a tad quicker, just a tad quicker Hunter Renfrow. I see Hunter Renfrow as a game.
See, I was gonna say the kid from what's the kid from Carolina? He was on the Carolina.
Wells.
DJ Humphries. Remember DJ Humphries?
Oh yeah.
He's with Tampa too.
Yeah.
Adam Humphries.
Adam Humphries. That's it.
Yeah. He went to the Titans, I think.
Yeah, he went to the Titans and then they went to Tampa Bay and a bunch of places.
Yeah, go walk. Who is it? Jalen McMillan? Is that what that is? After McConkey? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, McMillan.
Man, Washington got some damn receivers.
All them boys getting drafted, bro.
I'm saying it now, bro. It ain't popular. Polk is better than a Doomsday. And
Oh, hell
don't
no.
be don't be
Doomsday,
shocked.
my
I'm telling
God.
you.
Yeah.
It's
Nope.
dude, the athleticism and the dynamic ability is just way higher. It's way higher than what it
I
is
think
with
we're
a
gonna
Doomsday.
get one of them. I think we're gonna get one on Washington wide receiver because we just hired their wide receiver coach from last year. We just
You
hired
did?
him as a wide receiver
Yeah,
coach for the Patriots.
that might happen. Yeah, that
Yeah,
might happen.
you want a Doomsday though, like you do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, the
I
Doomsday,
think
my God, Joe. That's my guy.
that's
Man.
see, Shante, we on the same path, but I think a Doomsday kind of reminds me of Levante Adams. Like if I watch him, like the way that he plays the ball in the air,
Yeah,
because
Smooth as hell.
yeah,
Watch what happens when he runs that 4.57. Watch what happens next week.
So he said he the slowest one of the bunch, huh?
See, that's where people
He's slower than Polk. I guarantee Polk will run a faster 40.
see. Here's what's gonna happen after the combine. People are gonna make a bunch of broad assumptions, like, "Oh, he's slow," or "He's slow," or "This guy's slow," and then they're gonna be like, "Man, just turn on the tape. Like he ain't that slow."
Roma Dunsley, I watch them play every week. Every time I put the game on, he was catching like him and Penix. They had that daggone connection,
Dude,
like
man.
they had
electric,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
He
Penix was the mad bomber out there.
Yeah,
those fade balls. They to the end zone against Oregon. They were automatic.
Exactly.
50-50
Malik
ball,
Neighbors.
back
You
shoulder.
know what? I like Malik Neighbors too. I do.
Mhm.
I like him, man. It's something about LSU receivers other than like before Jamar Chase and before Justin Jefferson.
Terrence
Kinda
Marshall.
never. Yeah, they never
Booty.
really. Yeah, never really did nothing. So I mean, I think Malik Neighbors continues the good tradition of good LSU receivers. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what he does, but I kind of like him too. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it,
Ricky Pearsall making a name for himself too.
I like Pearson. He's a baller, man. He
Mhm.
doesn't. He's not. He ain't too flashy, but he's a freaking baller. It seems like he just gets open and catches the ball, and
Yep.
he has like he has like a little attitude with him too when he run too. So I like Pearson.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Brendan Rice, man.
Yeah, I like Brendan Rice.
For the last couple of years. He's the drops are a problem, a big problem for him. I think the issue with him is the fact that he plays so unnecessarily physical sometimes. Like he's physical in his release. Like he's fighting DBs when there's no damn need to fight them. You got the space. Just set him up and just take the route. He's giving you the route. And he wants to be extra physical with the guy anyway. But by the time the ball gets there, he did so much damn fighting, unnecessary fighting and getting thrown off his route. By the time the ball gets there, the ball kind of handcuffs him and he drops a lot of passes. But if you're talking about an alpha, dude that got the size, 6'3", 212,
Who does he remind you of, Walt?
Him,
like a Dez Bryant, maybe.
That's a good point.
Nah, I don't think he's quite as dynamic as Dez. He reminds
Marshall, maybe.
Marshall, maybe a little bit. One guy I did compare him to was Eric Moulds. They played for the Buffalo Bills back
What about
in the
Zay
day.
Jones?
No, he's way more physical. We don't see too many physical receivers like him anymore. Like he's different.
Well,
he's nothing like his dad either. It's weird because he plays with this chip on his shoulder. Like you can bet he probably heard his whole life, or you just Jerry Rice son or whatever. You know how some kids and celebrities grow up with that chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, like Denzel Washington's son. Yeah, like
He
that.
was going
like,
off at the Senior Bowl too, man. He had a good Senior Bowl week.
That's why I told Ashanti. I think he's a lion. Like attitude wise, work ethic wise, son of an all-time great.
Yep.
He's a guy that I would want in our locker room, in our wide receiver room, being honest with you.
You know why I like him, Walt. I like any receiver know how to work the sideline to their advantage, man. And that kid, he worked the sidelines, bro. And I think a talent like him and Jared Goff, I don't know how much that would mix because Jared Goff kind of likes throwing the ball on the inside, you know what I'm saying, of the hash marks as opposed to the outside to try to lead a receiver out of bounds. I think he can do both though. I think, like you said, Rice he don't give a damn. I think that's what I like about him too. I mean, he kind of got that like
he played
St.
with
Brown
an edge,
attitude.
man.
They're like St. Brown. It's the perfect compliment to what St. Brown is.
Brandon Rice comes in with a street fight attitude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why you would like him on there. And then the second part about it is Shante, you brought up a good point. He don't like going to the inside a lot, but he likes going to the outside. But like,
Yeah.
if you got a
Different
guy,
dynamic.
if you got a guy like that on the outside, like, and you got St. Brown on the inside, like you got the best of both worlds. You know what I'm saying?
He's freaking big too, man.
Yep. I like that. And like y'all said, like, you know, now let's be honest, these receivers now are 6'1", right?
Yeah.
This guy's 6'3". Like you said, just like the George Pickens, not him, but George Pickens a big guy. It's not too many. Nico Collins is one guy is physically intimidating, you know, kind of taller guy, you know what I'm saying, and he kind of fits that mold. So, like Walt said, I think that he's a unicorn a little bit. I think that somebody gonna draft him. I don't know where he fits though. I mean, do y'all think that where does he rank? I mean, is he a second round pick? I mean, dare I say, I don't know if he's first round talent, but
I think late second.
Yeah, late second, third. I was thinking late second, third round.
He's gonna be your X receiver, your prototypical X receiver. He can get open. I seen some clips of him at the Senior Bowl. The way he gets in at the breaks for a big guy, that's crazy right there.
Mm-hmm.
Then you know he's Jerry Rice's son, so just his name alone will get him a couple rounds up. I think second. I think late, probably late second, late to mid second. He's an alpha man. He's a dog. I think you throw him out there day one as your X receiver. I'm trying to think of a good team with him that he'd probably be a good fit on. Like, I mean, he'd probably come in as a number 2 receiver, but I think he could be the potential. I think he can get it be. They can get to be a number 1 receiver after a while. I think he can, man. If you look at how he looks right now, he just has that attitude, that go get it attitude, and I love that about him. But I think day one he's a number 2 across from somebody.
I'm gonna say this. I think him and Xavier Legette, like watching a lot of film of those dudes, they're pretty much the 2 dudes in the draft that kind of, this is just based off release. They got that Terrell Owens type of release, that very physical, violent release. I'm getting into this route. I don't give a damn about your back pedal. I don't give a damn about what zone you sitting in, what space you covering. I'm getting into my route. They're very, very explosive. Now, granted, Brendan does run kind of high. That can be fixed. But like I said, the work ethic, the explosiveness, the aggressiveness, the alpha in the room, the competition, he competes for every football. He's going to break up passes that could be intercepted. This dude was Caleb Williams' favorite target.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and remember, he transferred from Colorado as well. So I think those are some questions he's going to have to answer. But the interview process is going to be odd with him because, you know, all these teams already talked to Jerry Rice.
Mm-hmm.
They already talked to Jerry. And it's kind of unfair to them because, like, y'all already talked to my dad. Like, now what are y'all about to ask me? What do y'all really want to know?
I don't really think that transferring from Colorado is going to be a big deal because I don't think Colorado is a real program. So we could just go on.
All right, man. So it's unanimous. We all like Brendan Rice, so we have no issue with the Lions drafting him, depending on where they got.
Hey, Kendall like him too for the Patriots.
Oh yeah.
Man, listen, I like any damn wide receiver.
Oh my God, I
don't know about any receiver now. But hey, man. So what's up with Brian Thomas Jr.? He getting the Torrance Marshall treatment lately. People been killing him.
He should.
Yeah, he don't play hard enough for me. And it's like whenever, yep.
I remember I was watching a game where Jaden Daniels threw a slant and he kind of like eased up on the ball, like alligator arms kind of type bullshit. And I hate that. You know what I'm saying? When there's a good pass that's thrown to you and you kind of like don't want to get hit, like I have a huge problem with that, man. And I know it's like a little snippet, but God, man, it just makes it look so bad. Like you look so bad right there.
But it's easy to pinpoint that on all 22. Like when you watching it and you see how, okay, whenever you end up catching the ball and I go back and rewind it, okay, all out effort. I can't even get the all out effort in the run game as far as you run blocking. I can get it from neighbors. I can get it from everybody else. Whenever it was a run play, it's bad because you see that from damn near every wide receiver prospect. They'll be on the opposite side of the field and they won't even try to sell the route. They just walk off the
Yeah.
damn line. And you see that with too many wide receivers.
They know
It's
they're
bad.
not getting the ball. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, what do you do when you obviously not getting your number called on that play? And it's like the effort don't be there with him. But when he knows that number's getting called, splash play. I mean, the talent is there. I don't trust him in comparison to a lot of these other dudes. But
And let's
what
talk
do
to
y'all
him
think
going
about
in the
Brian
first-
Thomas?
Let's talk to him going in the first round. I'm here.
Yeah, I like Brian Thomas. I like him a lot. Man, I had a comparison. I was getting ready to say, God rest in peace. Was it like Demaryius Thomas? You know what I mean? Is that right about him? I don't know.
I got a good one for him.
I gotta see
Martavis
some.
Bryant.
Okay.
Martavis
Okay.
Bryant from the Steelers. What I see.
Steelers. Yeah, I think he's a prospect, Walt. I mean, I think that all of these guys, but him in particular, you know, being on obviously a team that had the Heisman Trophy winner, you know what I'm saying? It kind of helped, you know what I mean? Big dude too. I was looking up his size because he was the only one. It's funny you mentioned him.
I
And I
think
didn't write his
6'3",
size.
212.
Yeah, he 205,
210.
6'4", 205. So he a big, strong kid, man. I like Brian Thomas. I think that Brian Thomas Jr. He could be a guy that could be a fact. I think combine wise, I'm gonna keep my eye on him too because I want to see what he runs. Because like you said, he could be a late first round pick if he runs, good 40 time. You know what I mean? I think it may come down to that.
I think Jamari Thrash is a good player too.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Spent some time at Georgia State.
Yeah.
Go back and watch some of the Georgia State film. He's been a playmaker at both schools. And a lot of people thought that after he left Georgia State, I did watch quite a few Georgia State games, trying to support Eddie George. No, not Eddie George, but Eddie George at Tennessee State. But anyway, got a chance to watch a decent amount of Georgia State games when he was there. Big time playmaker. Reminds me a lot of Victor Cruz. Like he kind of same body type, great footwork. Great footwork. Him and Javon Baker was giving dudes fits and Roman Wilson. But they were giving dudes fits the entire Senior Bowl week, man. Yep. 6'1", 205, not the biggest receiver out there. But if you talk about a dude who can be a third down receiver, excellent hands, really good ball skills, sneaky fast, not sure how fast he's going to run. I think he's going to probably be somewhere ultimately in that 4.5 to 4.52 range. If his short shuttle times and everything else is good, I see no reason why Jamari Thrash won't be at least a late third rounder, maybe early fourth, depending on how how quick these guys start coming off the board. But what do y'all guys think of Jamari Thrash?
I like him a lot, man. I do.
Me
Like
too.
you said, great footwork. The one thing I did notice about him at Louisville, because I watched a couple of Louisville games because I would play him on a parlay on a Friday night. The thing about the Jamari Thrash though, man, is like I think he would be perfect in the offense. Kind of like if he was in Kansas City, that'd be a pretty good offense. The Chargers with Justin Herbert, I think that would be a good offense. If Kendall is the Patriots draft Drake May, I think that would be a great place to put him. I think he really gels well with like these guys that can get to him in stride. The one thing I noticed about Louisville is like with the quarterback that they had, Plummer, he was all over the place sometimes. So it was kind of like Thrash was kind of like grabbing balls out of the air and just, he wouldn't get the yak after the catch because he was kind of like quicksand. But if you get a quarterback that can put it in a zone when he knows where it's going to be, he's going to take that the distance. That's my opinion. Because he's just so good with his feet and his moves.
Definitely. Hey, man, what's up with Roman Wilson?
Oh, that's my guy. I like
What is
Roman
he?
Wilson.
You think he's 5'10", or is he more like 5'9"?
Bro, he's shorter than that. What are you talking about? 5'10".
He's more
I
shorter
know.
than that.
Bro, I met this guy. I'm 6'2". I look like a giant next to this kid. So he's not that big, but the thing about him though is he's just like he's another guy like St. Brown, man. Just kind of like that alpha
Great
dog.
comparison. Great
Like,
comparison.
He just
That's what
doesn't.
we both said that. Yeah.
he just doesn't give a F, dude. He goes out there, plays his game. He's very tactical at what he does. Like, man, I like Roman Wilson. And there's another guy in here, Taj Washington. I like
Yeah.
Taj too. I like Taj a lot. And Tez Walker, that's my guy.
Yeah.
Jonty, what you think about Roman? Because we did discuss Roman a week ago.
Yeah. I like Roman Wilson, good route runner. Like I said, he always makes it just seems like the times that Michigan did throw the ball, it was like Roman Wilson was super dependable, man, every time. You know what I'm saying? So that tells me Michigan is like a born-ass offense for receivers. So for him to be ready on the times his number was called, it shows you a lot about his mental makeup. You know what I'm saying? Because he could be pissed off because he ain't getting the ball or whatever and not being – I'm a proponent of being in the right spot all the time, out there on the field. And he's always in the right spot, man. Makes unbelievable catch. So I think and like you said, he got the St. Brown factor going for him. I think he's going to be drafted high, not first round high, but he definitely will be drafted. I mean, it's not, I'd be surprised. Like Cornelius Johnson, I worry about. I don't know if he'll get drafted, but definitely Roman Wilson going to get taken. I mean, he's, you could see him playing for like the Cowboys or another team that runs like Jacksonville or.
I honestly think the Eagles need a receiver like him.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they're too perimeter based, man. Way too perimeter based.
And the thing about Roman Wilson that kind of goes unnoticed, and I don't know about you guys, but like when I look at wide receiver, like I want a guy that when it's closing time and it's time to win a game, can you count on this guy? Mm-hmm. And Roman Wilson, for whatever reason, man, whenever they needed a big catch, whenever they needed a big first down, he was the guy who did it, and that says a lot to me, man. Because if you can get the ball in those clutch times, it tells me a lot about your mental makeup, and that's a huge.
As a little guy at that, you already got the biases of being a little guy going against you.
Yeah. Yeah, what to mention was this Jordan Whittingham, dude, ain't he like 29 years old? Seems like he's been at Texas forever, man. He's been like 7 years at Texas, man. Jordan Whittingham.
Whittington, yeah. He's
Whittington. Yeah, I said Whittington, yeah.
I know one of y'all wanted to talk on Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I like him. I do. I think that I think he could be one of the fastest guys, top 5 40 time, that type of thing. I think that's going to be another guy that separates himself if he can, if would depend on what he runs. You know what I'm saying? I think he could be super productive too. And it's almost like a lot of these guys, you could picture them on different said teams, like, like New Orleans need another receiver. Man, even Kendall's Patriots need a couple guys.
He looks like a taller Zay Flowers. That's what Xavier Worthy looks like. A taller Zay Flowers.
I think Zay way better. At least as a wide receiver coming out of college, I think Zay is way better.
You see, the thing about Worthy can play the X, and I feel he can play slot too. I think he can play both. He's explosive too. He can run. I seen him line up all over. And he got punt return available. He can return punts. So the Patriots, they do love those versatile pieces. And I think, him, you got little Pot Douglas in the slot. Maybe go out and sign like a Calvin Ridley. We cooking right there in New England, man, on that offense. We are cooking. But Xavier's explosive though, man. I like him. He's explosive.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say before we hit the other last couple positions, Walt, that Xavier Wheeler kid from Colorado, he was like a lightning bolt too. Like early in the season, I remember. For Dion, he made some plays. He was kind of quiet, but man, he's got a little rah-rah to him too. I like Xavier Wheeler as a punt. Like I mentioned him because Kendall did mention, special teams ability, and I think he's got that. So. Yeah, that's another guy right there.
It would be fun, though. I think it would be fun for a lot of these dudes that special teams still played a valid role in football. Mm-hmm. Not pretty much having the kickoff game taken out and not even really punt returns being that big of an issue. Not issue, but that being that big of an impact anymore. A guy like Xavier Worthy, not just Worthy, but there's a lot of guys in the league right now that could be serving way more dynamic roles than if special teams really played a valid role.
Yeah.
Think about Jamal Agnew. Like Agnew had a whole career here, made some money here strictly off of that.
He's a free agent too. He will be.
Bring him back, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, look at the guy who really got hampered by this kick return bull crap is Kevontae Turpin.
Yeah.
You imagine if Turpin got to run like Devin Hester and Eddie Drummond back in the day, man, like he'd be electric. No, they don't do that no more.
But y'all thinking about Eric All, man? At one point in time, All was a big time recruit coming out of high school, couldn't get any football his way. Every time a football was thrown his way, he was damn near hung in the air. Not set up to be too successful at Michigan. Went to Iowa. I don't actually understand how more productive he expected that to be. But Eric All, tall and talented. I think some team is going to fall in love with him at the combine. You got A.J. Barner, former Michigan Wolverine. Jaheim Bell, I think, is probably, along with Brock Bowers, maybe the most physically talented guys out there. Well, Jaheim Bell and Jatavion Sanders are probably the most physically talented as far as pure pass catchers at tight end. Bowers, the most versatile, might be the most explosive. But I think we got some tight ends in this class that could rival Brock Bowers as far as productivity of careers moving forward. So what y'all guys think about this? I think so.
Oh, hell no.
I think so.
No way.
I think so.
Brock Bowers is gonna come in this league and he's gonna be like Brock. He's gonna be like Laporta. I think that's what's gonna happen. Now, if you want a guy off the board that a lot of people are not thinking about, it's Cade Stover. I think Cade Stover is gonna
be Ohio State.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna be a legit guy. I don't feel this class though, man. Like you look at AJ Barner, you're like, okay, he's like a blocking tight end. You look at Eric Law, soft ass, You look at Devin Culp and like, all right, like I guess, but like
what about Jeff Sennett?
Oof.
Yeah. Oh yeah, from K-State, right? Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, Kendall.
He's good
because that was the one guy I had on my list. Kendall, that's real good work. Sorry, I was.
Theo Johnson.
Ben Sennett. Ben Sennett.
Ben Sennett. Yep. I you know who else I had was Span Ford from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Super productive, good blocker, man, on the edge. I think that he is whoever gets Span Ford gonna have a good tight end too. I think that this class, like Joe said, man, I don't know. I think that it's some potential here. Like you said, especially AJ Barner, Jaheim Bell.
Yeah, I don't think it's a poor class at all.
Yeah, Devin Culp is a guy that can make some plays too. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I like to see more. Like I said, the combine for me has been the last 2 years. I think the combine is served tight ends good than I think Sam Laporta really came on the scene at the combine. I remember I noticeably seen the quickness, seen the ability, athletic to bend, to get out of the break. You know what I'm saying? I want to see more of these guys because, like, if you was to tell me who Dallin Holker is from Colorado State, I didn't follow him too much. Tip Raymond, I seen him play a little bit for Illinois, just a little. Trey Knox is not bad from South Carolina. I mean, it's some guys on this list that, and it even Jatavion Sanders, he's another guy, that caught some passes that I seen. So I think that for me, the combine is going to kind of separate who's going to be the alpha out of this group. You know what I'm saying? But keep an eye on Span Ford though, and Ben Sennett, just what Kendall said. That's what I was going to say.
I think it's kind of difficult for a lot of these tight ends. It's unfair now because I think a lot of teams are going to expect their young tight end to come in and do exactly what Sam Laporta did. There's been a lot of really talented tight ends to come into the league over the last 2 or 3 years, man, that just for one reason or another haven't had the success their talent would dictate. Like Trey McBride, if he was in a better situation, a more consistent situation, would be putting up monster numbers. You look at a guy last year, the tight end from Notre Dame that went right after the pick, right after Sam Laporta. Yeah, Mayer started slow. Mayer had some nagging injuries or whatnot. The more they started to actually throw Mayer the football, the more productive he started to look. You look at Dalton Kincaid, had an up and down rookie season playing in Buffalo.
Yeah, but
So,
I don't even classify Dalton Kincaid as a tight end though. To be honest, like he's more like a wide receiver. You know, like he's a wide receiver. That's my opinion. But like you said, you guys are saying it. Like these NFL teams, they expect these tight ends to be like George Kittle, Rob Gronkowski, all these guys, and it's like, bro, 95% of these guys coming in the league, they just gonna be possession guys. Like they're gonna be your they're gonna be your Brock Wright. They're gonna be your, go down Hunter Henry for Kendall. Just a guy. That might get overhyped at a little bit, but that's what it's gonna be. Like if you're looking for a Sam Laporta every draft, you're gonna be very, very confused.
I think tight end is one of the positions that you don't really get early access from, especially in that first year for the most part. Tight end, they normally come on. I mean, Sam Laporta, that was rare, whatnot. Trying to think of somebody else. I mean, George Kittle. You don't really get that production from tight ends right off the bat. You just don't get them. It's very rare. I think they normally come on like later on, like in the second or third year or something. Like you don't really get it that first rookie season from a tight end like that. It's very rare.
It's a hard position to learn too, because you're blocking
Well, you know what?
Playing football.
It's also very rare to find teams that make their tight end a focal point of the offense that early.
Mm-hmm.
Like Laporta was an offense all offseason. Of course they had to kind of haze him a little bit. Hey, rookie, you're nothing. You're fourth on the depth chart and this and that. But yeah, it's going to be unfair because Sam Laporta was a hell of a player and he went to the right team. Like that's part of it. Look, think about the dude the Jets drafted from Ohio State. What's the name? Reichert. Was it Jeremy Reichert? Jeremy Reichert is a very talented tight. Look where the hell he's at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And look at the situation he's in.
What's the other guy from Clemson too? Walt had a decent Davis Allen. I think Davis Allen too.
Yeah.
And he's non-existent. I think he went to the Rams, and the Rams barely used him, if I'm not mistaken, this year. You know what I'm saying? I think he'll be good. I mean, they already have a tight end, but it's just like, he, like you said, it just depended on the team.
Even like Pittsburgh, they got Darnell Washington, the tight end, big tight end,
from Georgia.
As a gimmick.
Yeah.
He's never going to be a consistent pass catcher for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't like that pick at all. I mean, I thought he was big and physical, but I remember we did our tight end show, and he didn't show anything to show that he was going to make a media impact. He was raw. You know what I'm saying?
But I like Freiermuth, so I don't care about that, man.
I like Pat too.
Yeah. Freiermuth can ball, man.
But it's a credit to Dan Campbell though for the Lions fans because he's a tight end, so he knows what to expect. Some of these tight end coaches, they should know what to expect out of these tight ends. Like when you draft a tight end, like I don't think every tight end is gonna be like, oh, that's Gronk. Like, no, that's not Gronk, dude. That's not Gronk. Like that like there's like Darren Waller was a converted wide receiver. So I mean that's just how this tight end thing goes. It's kind of like you shoot your shot pretty much.
Hey, I'll go up. Does Iowa have somebody on this list?
Yeah, it was Eric All. We were talking about at the beginning.
That's right, Eric All. That's right. Okay, transfer from Michigan.
So
okay,
they're good. Tight end is going to be coming next year.
I want to ask you guys a quick question. Like it relates to, let's just say, Cincinnati and Joe Burrow. Like Bengals got a couple receivers up in free agency. Jamar Chase, big time money. Got to revamp that offensive line. Do the Bengals take a different route this? Because it's not a rebuild, of course. I think it's a retooling of the offense. But considering the fact they got to pay Chase the money they got to pay Chase, and Burrow's making his money, and they got to fix that offensive line, would it be a smarter move to go out and just get him a dependable tight end? Because, like, I've seen a lot of mock drafts with Cincinnati taking a wide receiver in the first, and I get it. You might lose 2 wide receivers in free agency. Personally, I would be okay with Chase on the outside and getting him someone in the middle of that offense, seam-wise, that can get open quickly. Because they just can't seem to fix that offensive line for shit. And since you can't, how do you protect that quarterback in that situation? Give him a tight end and get him a better running game. So let's say by the time the Bengals are on the spot, Brock Bowers is going to be gone. Who do you give him if you were going to give him a tight end from where they're picking at?
I ain't giving him a tight end. I'm giving him one of these wide receivers that can go over the middle, catch a ball. You know what would be great with him is like Jamari Thrash or Roman Wilson. That would be great. Because I don't feel. I know. I mean, you can go in the second. Like I think in the first you should go offensive line for the Bengals. Period.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going wide receiver or tight end. Like screw that. That's stupid.
Like, yeah, they need to go tight offensive line run. They damn near need to run.
We gotta keep. Yeah, but the thing we got to go back to is the fact that positional value. Like just because you need an offensive lineman, does that mean you reach? Because at the end of the day, you're still paying a first round pick. And we see a lot of these offensive linemen flame out too. That's why I'm like, even if I do need an offensive, let's assume they take care of some offensive line issues in free agency. You want to make sure that at that pick, wherever you're picking in the first round, you maximize the positional value of that pick. Now, you don't want to just gamble on the offense. That's the same thing with teams that failed. That's how the Pittsburgh Steelers ended up with Kenny Pickett. We need a quarterback. Who's left over? Oh, we'll take him.
But I don't believe any of these tight ends are first round guys, man. Besides Brock Bowers, like who?
But the thing is, after once you look at the offensive line, though, you got to believe that Tyler Guyton, by the time it's time for the Bengals to pick, he won't be on the board. Fiago won't be on the board. Fashanu won't be.
I think this is the best year for an offensive line draft.
Yeah. Jackson Powers Johnson.
I think wide receiver is a good position. I do like Tanner Hudson, their tight end. I do like Drew Sample, their tight end. I think that they're doable. I don't think these tight ends that you got in this draft, I don't think any of these ones are going to help Joe Burrow right away. And that's the issue. Because you're in a win now situation. You can't wait on an effing tight end to get better. You know what I'm saying? So I think you got to go wide receiver if you're going to go anyone, to be honest.
They low-key need to spruce up that backfield a little bit to
running back.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dylan Johnson will look damn good with the Bengals, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just picking a guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? But offensive line is like their problem spot. I mean, and Joe Burrow has been like scraping himself off the mat, if you will, like the last 2 years, man. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's almost like they just need a little bit because it's like Jamar Chase and then that's it. Joe Mixon runs hard. I like Joe Mixon, but they need a little bit more pop in that backfield, man. You know what I mean? To kind of bring another dimension out. And I think like Joe said about Sample and Hudson, don't too capable tight end. They kind of like on the Brock Wright caliber, but they still serve. Joe Burrow can make that work. You know what I'm saying? I think it's more protection with him and getting – disguising more coverages, so.
Well, it's the final group right here, the offensive line, man. We got Isaiah Adams, Joe Alter, Notre Dame. I'm not even going to pronounce Yale's name. I want to call him Yale. But I don't want to mispronounce his name. But there's some guys. Graham Barton is a guy that started out as projected as a top 20 pick at tackle. It's going to be interesting at the combine to see his measurements, arm length wise and whatnot, what he comes in weighing at. Is he willing to play a different tackle, a lot of different positions? Because a lot of times these guys play tackle their entire lives and they don't want to be guards. It's been said numerous times prior to this combine that he may have to move inside. Versatile player. I like him a lot. I've seen a lot of people having him mocked to Detroit at 29. That wouldn't shock me at all. For me to be comfortable with that, I would have to actually see who else was left on the board. But what do you guys think about this offensive line class? Because both teams could end up drafting a tackle or guard. Both teams, Patriots as well as Lions, do need offensive line. So let's go through these guys right here. Neither one of us, well, the Patriots could get Joe Alt. Kendall is completely anti-Joe Alt, though. I get it, man.
If we take Joe Alt, I'll probably walk the Foxborough, man. Like, come on, man.
I do like me some Joe Walt though. Joe Walt.
Yeah, but
Oh,
I
man.
mean, come on, man. Like Joe, a pretty good player. I like Oli Fashanu from Penn State,
Mhm.
but come on, man. We can get like a Patrick Paul in the second round or something like that, or trade back up. Please, miss me with that. But it is a good tackle class. It's a deep class for the offensive line. If you don't get Joe out, don't panic. There's gonna be more guys to get later on in the first, second, third. Tackle and wide receiver is one of the deepest classes this year. Tackle and receiver.
Yes.
I haven't really had a chance to look at a lot of the guys, just the top guys. Joe Alt, Patrick Paul, I
Mhm.
seen him at Senior Bowl, and Oli. That's really about it. Those are your top guys right there. You got and you. It's just a good class. I like what you said about Graham Barton from Duke. So you got some guys there. But I just think
Man.
like from me personally, from a Patriots fan and whatnot, I would like to see my team get a tackle in the second or third round, or either address it in the free agency. That's me personally what I would think. But
Yeah.
I don't think you never can have too many tackles, man, because you do have to protect the quarterback. But it's just like for me, speaking from a Patriots fan, I just wish Matt Jones could have played a little better. If he would just play average, we could have got best player on the board, Marvin Harrison or Joe. I wouldn't mind it then, but we put ourselves in a predicament where we need a quarterback, a tackle, and a damn receiver. So it's like, dang, we got so many that like if we would have got average quarterback play for Matt Jones, you could just say, okay, let's just give him Marvin Harrison and just see where he goes. You can't do that now because we don't have a quarterback. And if you don't have a quarterback, both your tackles are free agents. You
Yeah.
have no skill on the damn offense for crying out loud.
Yep.
It's kind of like, dang, you just got to take something. You need a quarterback, receiver, and a tackle. I wish Matt would have played decent or Zach would have played decent enough to the point where we could just take, let's just give him Marvin and take the best player on the board. Now it's like a cat chasing his tail. You're all over the place now. What you need.
Yeah. I mean,
So, I like
yeah.
Joe Alt though, but just not. I mean, if we're gonna get him, let's trade down a little bit and then get him. Don't take him at 3, please. Don't.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, Walt, yeah, I like what Joe said because I feel like other than receiver, I think offensive line is this where do you change your team? Okay. Jackson Powers Johnson, I think he's probably just as good as Joe Alt. I could be wrong, even though it's kind of different, different position. Obviously, Powers Johnson more of a center for Oregon. I like him. Walt, number one. Joe Alt. I got J.C. Latham from Alabama, and Tyler Guyton. I think Tyler Guyton, if he ever learns how to, if he can be coached not to have his hands up so high, I think you got something there with that kid. He's raw, but I would take a chance on Tyler Guyton. I like Kristen Mahogany too. I looked at from Boston College. I think that he was 6'6", 320. I think it is Brandon Coleman, another guy that played with Cooper Beebe, another guy that I like. And Andrew Coker, he's on this list too. I mean, man, Walt, this is a hell of a talented offensive lineman, offensive line group this year, man. You know what I'm saying? I think, even Blake Fisher from Notre Dame, I wrote him down. And we haven't even gotten to our guys, at Michigan. I mean, let's not. I mean, I'm not even saying
Yeah,
it as a
Zach
homer.
Zenner and yeah.
Nugent and Keegan, those guys, man, play ball this year. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, Zenter obviously got hurt, and hopefully, he probably will get drafted, but you know what I'm saying, maybe not first round or second round or anything like that. But yeah, to answer your question, man, like I said, if I had to rate them, obviously Joe Alt, and then I would go Powers Johnson, JPJ. I'm gonna get it right before the draft. Cooper Beebe. And like I said, a close behind. I think J.C. Latham got some talent, and Christian Mahogany. I think all of those guys from Boston College, all those guys walking can absolutely booster up our offensive line. I think that we get the Graham Glasgow, we get to Jonah Jackson maybe leaving for free agency. So it's going to be a void there. If you're the line, Kobe, we talked about Kobe Sorstall, who did more than an admirable job as, plug and play, you know what I'm saying? That type of thing where he came in and started some games for the line, a couple games, I think, during the season and played okay, in spot duty. So, but you want to get a guy like you said, we've been talking about this the defense and offensive line for the Lions. We got to get on both sides of the ball. Walt, we have to get a guy now. You know what I'm saying? Not just like you said, a seventh best player at that position. You need like we got one with Sewell. Okay, it'd be nice to get another young, hungry, unmovable guy on that line to because think about it. I mean, okay, like Kendall, I asked Kendall the question too. I mean, is the Patriot what are the New England I mean, Patriots are more defensive oriented. Can you maybe agree to that right now? I mean, you guys are defense right now. That's the strength of your team. Like the Lions are more offense. Our offensive line is the strength of the team. So I feel like you always in any draft has to you got to capitalize on what your strengths are. To me, you know what I'm saying, to get better. Like for us, okay, we got Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, but we have to get better and make sure. We have to make sure that part of our team doesn't drop off. You know what I'm saying, Walt? Like we got to continue to have that Russian attack going in the next season. You know what I'm saying? And I think one of these guys on this list would be more than admirable to help the Lions. Man, you know,
I told you last week, I'm not opposed to us drafting two. Depending on what we do in free agency, I would not be opposed to us drafting a tackle and a guard in this draft.
Yeah,
simply because it's just, with the Taylor Decker situation coming up and the fact that we could possibly lose, even though I don't think we're going to lose 6 offensive linemen, but it's possible. We could lose depth. We talked about Jackson Powers Johnson, pound for pound, being one of the best offensive linemen in this draft last week. We discussed potentially if he was on the board at 29, he's an option because he's a guy where even if Frank comes back, which Frank says he is coming back, you can play Powers at guard for 1 year. And then if Frank decides to leave at the end of 2024, 2025, you can move Jackson back over to his natural position. And as you said, offensive line, that's the bloodline. That's what everything was built off of. For us, that was Brad Holmes' #1 draft pick when he first got here. And, you want to keep that. Sewell is the crown jewel of the offensive line. That's obvious. But the thing is, your offensive line can go to shit real quick if you don't maintain it.
Yeah.
Like when Kendall's team was doing good, though, the Patriots, they had a effing offensive line. Like, people don't understand it. You need an offensive line to win the football. Like, I know the Kansas City Chiefs have 2 dullards at tackle, but they have probably one of the best guards in football in Joe Thuney, who they got from Kendall's team, and they got Creed Humphrey. So, I mean, that's why they win in Super Bowls. And then you look at when the Patriots were winning Super Bowls, they had those dominant offensive lines. You win in the trenches. And one of the guys, I think if Kendall's team, this is the guy that I would look at in the 3rd round because I think that's where he's going to slip. And I really think, a lot of you were talking about the wide receivers like going early. I think they're going to be pushed down because of the offensive line, because people are really going to start to notice that offensive line is what's going to win you football games. Now, of course, you're going to have your dumb general managers that are going to be like, let's just draft skill players, right? Like the L. Davis method, speed, speed, speed. But if you're a smart general manager, you go at offensive line, you revamp your offensive line, you try to build from the trenches because that's where you're going to win. And that Amagaje kid from Yale, you want to pronounce his name? I love that kid. Now he's a little bit he missed this year with a quad injury in terms of like the way that he played, but he's going to go in the 3rd, 2nd round, and I think if I was Kendall's team, that's kind of what I'd be looking at in a 2nd and 3rd round because I think there's so much offensive line talent in this draft. Like a guy like Carson Barnhart, I do like Trevor Keegan, like you guys are naming the Michigan guys, Nugent and all those guys, and I also look at Cooper Beebe and Bortolini in Wisconsin and all these guys. I mean, even a guy like I know he played at Florida and their offensive line was kind of trash. Kingsley Ekwan, I love that kid, man. I think he got a real bright future in this league.
Yep, for sure.
And Fatanu too from Washington, because I think that offensive line Washington is really effing good, man. So I think that this offensive line, I think if teams are smart, they draft offense, and I think offensive line, I think that could push some wide receivers down to the bottom. some running backs down to the bottom, some defensive ends, some cornerbacks, because I think people are starting to learn, like,
You got to have a line.
yeah, you got to have a line. But the reality of the situation is, how many of these NFL teams in the league right now have a good offensive line? Like, I'm talking good. What is, like, 5% of the league? 10% of the league?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a problem. And when you got these ass quarterbacks coming out of the draft, like, like the Bryce Youngs of the world and everything, like, where they're not ready to play, you got to get them an offensive line.
You got to give
Right.
Bryce a whole lot of shit last year. Bryce was in a rough situation, man.
I felt bad for him, man. I felt so bad for him.
Yeah.
Sucks for them.
But I think one other guy we didn't talk about was Talise Fuaga, also of Oregon State.
Yep.
So
those Oregon State boys, man, they're good.
I was gonna say it sucks for Carolina because they don't have a first round pick this year, and they got a lot of holes, especially on that offense. They need wide receivers, at least probably 2. They need offensive line big time. Need a tackle or so, tackle guard. They got to protect their investment in Bryce Young, and you need receivers and tackles. But we see what Carolina do. I mean, they don't know how many picks. They don't know how many picks they have, but they don't have a first round pick. So we'll see what they do.
See, I thought Carolina did it all wrong last year when they traded for Bryce Young, because they didn't have nothing to set him up for success. You know what I'm saying? I think at least with Houston and C.J. Stroud, like, at least he had a tackle. At least he had a guy in Nico Collins. At least they drafted a Tank Dell, and they got a Dalton Schultz in the free agency. Bryce Young went there and he had old ass Adam Thielen, made of chalk DJ Chark, and like a bunch of spuds. It's like he ain't doing
call them spuds.
I like the receiver they got from Ole Miss.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of his name right now, but he played pretty good. I looked at his stats a few weeks back. I didn't know he put up some decent numbers last year. That was kind of quite. It went on the radar. But,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I like them too. That's the guy who hit Hutch
Mingo.
Jonathan Mingo.
Yeah, Jonathan Mingo. Yeah.
They got.
I don't know. It's kind of weird.
They need about 2 more playmakers in that Carolina offense.
Yep. At least.
I don't think they counted on the offensive line regressing like he did last year either.
Yeah.
You spent the top 10 pick on Ike Ekwonu. You drafted a couple guards over the past couple years. They were playing pretty well. That offensive line was playing well the year before, and they played like shit a year ago. And then you factor in the fact that in order to get that pick, you had to trade away DJ Moore.
Yeah.
And Terrence Marshall never evolved into anything really, and he didn't have any quality tight end play, and the offensive line struggled, and he had a head coach that never wanted him, and it was a lot of bullshit going on in Carolina. And I think for people to just trash Bryce Young, not to say that any of y'all was doing that, but when I hear people on TV just completely, it's easy to trash Bryce now, because when he was short and winning, he was the guy that everybody was favored behind. But now that he struggled and he's short, now he's trash. He shouldn't play in the league. He had no business getting drafted where he got drafted. Bryce played better throughout the end of the season. When they started to play a little bit better offensively, the offensive line started to play better. And I think that's the most you can ask for any rookie quarterback. Like, if his offensive line plays better, he should play better. Now, offensively was weird too what they were trying to do, because you went out, you signed Miles Sanders, gave Miles Sanders all that money. The carries weren't there, the yards weren't there. It was just weird for them completely. Then you had the shit show with Tepper upstairs. It was all rough for him, all rough. But back to these offensive linemen, I agree. I think Troy Fatanu is probably going to be a first-round pick. There's been talk about him having to move inside the guard as well. A lot of these guys, for that matter. But I think Talise Fuaga of Oregon State, man, he's the prototypical right tackle.
Yep.
Like, you're going to set up your running game and build your running game and scheme your running game behind him. He's surprisingly athletic for a dude that size. He's better in pass than people give him credit for. I like him a lot. And I told people that I would, after Joe Alt, it would be a tough decision for me if I needed a tackle between him and Olu Fashanu.
Yep.
Because as talented as Olu is, I think Fuaga's more built to play football right now in the NFL.
Yep.
He's more physical.
that Oregon State offensive line was really damn good, man. And I know I'm saying that as an MSU fan because I'm getting Jonathan Smith, but I look at that Oregon State offensive line, man. I just like those were some dogs. Like there's some guys still in the college ranks that are going to be draft picks in the NFL. Like just straight old school offensive linemen with the athleticism. That's what you want, man.
Yeah.
So we got Javon Foster also, but I was going to talk about Zach Frazier. Probably the number 2 center off the board, man. Another hell of a player, got great size for the center position, ton of starts. I'm not sure how high Frazier's going to go, simply because we expect Jackson Powers Johnson to go in the first round. You don't see centers go in the first round that often. Frank proved to go, and he went in the first round. A lot of people question that. Frank turned out to be a hell of a player for us. Who was the guy for the Colts that they took out of Arkansas? Not Arkansas, Kelly. The center the Indianapolis Colts took in the first round a few years ago.
Oh, Kelly.
He turned out to be a solid investment as well. But yeah, I think Zach Frazier is going to be a hell of a player.
You don't usually see centers taken in the first round. I remember that draft bill that Frank Ragnow had. Remember the center that people are pissed that they took Frank over? Billy Price.
Oh yeah, from Ohio State.
Oh yeah, Billy Price was supposed to be really good.
Yeah. I remember that. That was funny as hell. So I always remember that with centers. But like this is what I'm saying, man. Like you go in the second round, and these guys are gonna be flying off the board. That's why I think there's gonna be pushing some wide receivers down, some offensive line. You know, there's gonna be some lot of movement because of these offensive linemen here. Like that Getting kid from Liberty, I like him too. He's like late round draft pick. I like him a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's a deep offensive line draft as well. As usual, you're going to see guys get drafted in the 6th round, 7th round, and turn out to be starters, 10 to 15-year starters. That's just how it goes. But all of us could agree. If you don't have an offensive line, you don't have shit. Nope. If you're not strong at the line of scrimmage, period, on both sides of the football, you don't really have shit.
I don't care how fast your quarterback can run.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Detroit, even this past season, you know, the pass wasn't necessarily there, but we were strong enough at the line of scrimmage to shut down the run.
Yep.
You know, you have to be able to do one of those two, but the depth is deep. I just think that if Dan Campbell, all right, so I'm gonna ask you this, Joe, because you're here now. What do you make of Brad Holmes coming out saying, hey, pretty much we're not spending any money as far as outside acquaintances? We're more focused on re-signing our guys. Do you think they bring back 4 of these offensive linemen that they got up for free agency and just try to do something with a different route in the draft?
I don't even buy that, man. I really don't buy that. Like I hear that, and I hear what Steve Eisman said. This is hockey, but I hear what Steve Eisman said when they were going into the last offseason. He was like, "I'm not trading for anybody. I'm not doing free agents." And guess what he did? He signed 12 free agents, and he made a blockbuster trade. I think that's kind of like what you're seeing with Brad Holmes. I think Brad Holmes is smarter than he appears to be for a lot of people, because I don't think he's going to lend his hand to the other general managers in the league. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's going to go and say, I'm going to be aggressive in free agency, because, you know, these teams in free agency, they're going to use that against you. Like let's say you're going for the services of Danielle Hunter, right? And you got 4 teams that are going for Danielle Hunter. Well, they know that you are going to be aggressive as hell. So if they can get you to bite on, you know, more term or more AAV, they're going to try to do that just to F with you. And I think what Brad Holmes did was smart, because especially with the fan base that we have, I think he wanted to set the temp expectations low. Like, I didn't think they were going to sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson last year. I didn't think they were going to sign Dave Montgomery last year. I thought they were going to sign their guys. And they went out and signed these guys. Now, I do think that Brad Holmes seen what I do think Brad Holmes seen what everyone thought. And getting rid of Tracy Walker today was a telltale sign that, you know, he's going to go out there and make some moves because they're going to free up some more cap, and the cap is expected to go up even more than they expected. They're going to make a move. They're going to make a bull move this year, and I don't know if it's going to be a free agent signing or it's a trade because I think that could be on the table too.
Could be.
Chris Jones.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm just, it's funny because as fans, we fantasize about getting this player and that player. A lot of these players won't even reach the market.
Yeah, like the Josh Allen hype. Like if Jacksonville let him go, they're stupid. Like all those guys that they're saying they're going to be leaving. I don't think any of them leaving. So you kind of got to want you want to make sure that you set the expectations low because you don't know what the free agency market's going to be. You don't know how congested it's going to be. I don't think Jalen Johnson's going to leave Chicago, and if he does, then I think that's a great spot to get it. But
so basically, what you're saying is Brad Holmes this past week treated us all like we're those kids in the car when we think we're going to McDonald's, and he keeps telling us we're not going to McDonald's, and then boom, we get McDonald's on the way home.
I'll tell you why, because I think Brad Holmes and Steve Eisenman are the same general managers. They play very, very calculated. They don't let you know their hand. They're kind of good poker players, and that's the thing I like about them both is that when they make a move, they make an effing move. Like that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson move last year, that was bold, right? The Dave Montgomery move was bold because you spent money on a running back. Then you compound it with drafting Jahmyr Gibbs. Like this guy, he makes these bold moves and he just wants to improve the team. And I think that last year when he went with Charles Harris and Romeo Okwara, I think he realized, holy shit, we can't do that again, man.
Yeah, I'm doing a mock draft. Okay, the first pick I picked Brandon Trice from Washington. Okay,
I like that.
I made a trade with New England, ironically, and I got 2 picks now, and now my second pick in second round pick at number. What is this? Number 68 overall. This is who I got to choose from here. I'll go offense first. Tell me what y'all think. Roman Wilson, Jalen Polk is there, Malachi Corley, right? Those are 3, and then Jamari Thrash is there. Okay. On the offensive line, we got Blake Fisher, which I like him, and I thought Christian Mahogany was there. He's not there. Blake Fisher, the only guy I would consider draft. Oh, yeah. There we go. Christian Mahogany is there at guard. And then on defense, it's slim pickings, man. Defense is terrible if you don't get your guy the first couple picks. Cornerback is terrible. I did just see. Okay, TJ Tampa, he's there. And Cam Hart is there. And Kalen King. So
Cam Hart's a big corner, man.
Would you go? You would go Cam Hart at second?
Nah. If all those players on the board, I would take Jalen Polk.
Polk.
I still feel like I would take Jalen Polk because the upside is there, man. I do understand this. Well, you're not taking Polk in the first round, so you're not worried about that type of money having to pay Polk. If Polk evolves into a legit number 1, you're not talking about having to pay Polk for another 3 years, 4 years. So I wouldn't necessarily be worried about that, but the ability to get another big-time playmaker out there, just over the rest of those guys, like he has the ability to have a bigger impact. And drafting Roman Wilson would be like drafting another St. Brown. Like it kind of would be. It's like, would Brad Holmes have the idea, hey, I can have 2 St. Browns? It's like, so now I would probably, if that's what I had to pick through, I would probably take Jalen Polk.
Okay. Yeah, just interesting. See what y'all was thinking on that.
Because I'm gonna assume, you took Braden Trice, who I do like a lot, man. A lot. Have to assume a lot of other issues as far as the team roster-wise that have been taken care of throughout free agency and throughout the early part of the draft. So, yeah. Now I'm thinking like best available talent.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So,
All right, man, that's it.
yeah.
Anybody else got shit to say? We went
Yeah.
through the offense. When you want to come back and do the defense? Because we're gonna do the defensive players in the next couple of days.
I was looking at this mock draft that I was kind of doing, but
You want to do Thursday?
Thursday? I don't care.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of interesting defensive players, and I think the defensive side of the ball, our fan base wants to hear more about that anyway. Of course, you got someone, Orion Hogan, in the comment section says defense. So a lot of defensive tackles, a lot of defensive linemen in general, a lot of corners to discuss, a lot of safeties,
linebackers.
Yeah.
I don't think you could just go. See, I think a lot of people are going to be really disappointed when I think Brad Holmes is going to do. I think he's going to go a lot of best player available, and if Jalen Polk is on the board, I think you're going to go get him. I think they're going to get a lot of offensive linemen. I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to focus primarily on defense and free agency. That's what I think they're going to do.
We've been hit by the unexpected so much with them. It wouldn't shock me if, and then you don't find out about it till after it happened, but it wouldn't shock me if they took Jalen Polk at 29 and then they cut away to the green room and you see Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell high five and everything. Jalen Polk was our number one player on the board from day one. Like, really? Over everybody?
I'll tell you what about Brad Holmes though, man, and Dan Campbell. They have a unique player that they really want, and a unique skill. And I was talking about this with my co-host on the Red Wings podcast, Cindy, with Red Alert, and I was talking about, like, you know, the good general managers, they figure out what they want and they go get it. And I think that's the most important thing, because if you don't have that, then you don't have nothing. And I think Brad Holmes, what he does really, really well is he gets these guys that just want to come to work and play. Like Lord Porta, St. Brown. I mean, look at Rodrigo, undersized linebacker that just is a total dog. Like, you can't say enough about Brad Holmes in these drafts. I mean, I really do think that he gets the players that he really wants. So that's the sad part. I do.
Yeah.
But that's partly because a lot of these GMs in this league are boners. Like, they're true idiots. Like, just look at it, man. Like, the Panthers general manager, like, go to hell. The Commanders general manager, like, whatever.
Well, it's obvious he wants game changers in the first round.
Oh yeah.
That's for sure. Penei Sewell, game changer. Jameson Williams, potential game changer. Jameer Gibbs, game changer. Jack Campbell.
Yep.
Could be not comeback player of the year, but most improved player next season. I think he's going to be on that list. I think Jameson Williams will probably be on that list as well next season as most improved player. So he's been he's batting 1,000 as far as the first round for damn sure.
Yeah,
I'd be excited with Brad Holmes with his drafts, man. I think that he really, when they cut away to the green room and he gets his player, I do believe he gets his player, because they're wired that different, man.
What if they go after Caleb Williams? The Detroit Lions have traded up to number 1.
You know what? I know you guys. I know you guys. I know you guys are talking quarterbacks.
Trade number 1, huh?
I know you guys are talking quarterbacks. I know you guys were talking quarterbacks before I came on, but I don't like Caleb Williams, man. I'm gonna be honest. No, I don't like Caleb Williams at all, to be honest. Like, if I was gonna take a player over him, I'd take Jaden Daniels, to be honest. I think Caleb Williams got to, like, man, when you watch him at USC, like, when he gets pressured, he just throws up for grabs. Like, bro, you cannot do that in the NFL. Like, you can get away with that in the Pac-12 after dark, but you ain't getting away with that in the NFL, especially if you come to the NFC. All right, do it. Cool.
Well, I mean, we got a lot of time to discuss this, because
just think about it. Just think about it this way: would you rather the Bears keep Justin Fields or the Bears get Caleb Williams? And I say they kept Justin Fields, I'd be way more worried than if they got Caleb Williams.
No, because. And I was a big Justin Fields fan coming out of Ohio State. Justin still struggles with the small shit.
But you think about it like this.
The simple shit. And, like, if all I got to worry about is you running, I can give less than a damn.
Right.
You ain't going to run your way to a win over me consistently. Like, we're better now defensively. Justin ain't gonna just run his way to a win over us anymore.
But this is what I come back to. If Caleb Williams goes to a quarterback, a coach that like Eberflus, I ain't worried about that at all.
Well, yeah, you got to worry about can he overcome the Bears?
No. I ain't worried about that. I think their Bears are kind of like they do stupid stuff, man. Like I'm totally content with the Bears being stupid as all, because I mean them not getting Justin Fields, like the offensive line, which they finally got him, and you started to see the benefits of that. I don't know, man. I think it'd be a mistake if they went for Caleb Williams, to be honest. I do. Like how good would that offense be if they got like a good offensive tackle like Luciano or something like that.
Joe Alt.
Yeah, Joe Alt would be a good one for them too, to be honest. I think
Yeah, I mean Darnell Wright proved to be a pretty good player. Braxton was decent on the left side, but if I could get a Joe Alt and I can keep Darnell Wright at right tackle, or if you feel like it, move Darnell Wright into right guard. Because I'm pretty sure he would be a solid right guard as well, and move Braxton to left tackle, or however you choose to do it. When we first got Penei Sewell, that was the big argument. Well, when are you going to move Penei over to left? You got to move him to left. Well, 3 years later, they haven't done it, and it's been perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So
that's what I think with the Bears, man. I just think this draft is going to be wild, to be honest. The way that some of these teams are positioning themselves, and free agency is going to be critical too. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, we always got shockers because you never know who is the number one player on the team's board.
JJ McSizzle, baby.
Oh, Brad Holmes. High fiving in the green room after drafting JJ. Trey Benson, our number one player.
Or we could draft another old quarterback in Michael Penix, and then Avery will be like, "Oh, this guy's freaking great."
Marvin Harrison was our number one player on our board the entire time.
I do like that though.
We got kind of worried when the Patriots came up, but
I liked it. Like Joe said, I do think that's what I like about Brad Holmes, though. He does seem like he sticks to his board, man. You know what I'm saying? And I do believe if it's a guy and they get drafted, like before he picks them, I do think that he goes to the next guy. You know what I'm saying? And it may be like too high for that said person. You know what I'm saying? Like Jack Campbell. I think Jack Campbell was maybe the third option at that time, but he said, damn it, that's one of my guys, so I'm drafting him at 18. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So, yeah, that's what I do like about that. So, usually, like you say, it's worked out in the first round, him doing that. You know what I'm saying? And he's getting impact guys. So,
and they got a good staff, too, around him, like Agnew and Dorsey and everything, man. Like, I do think all those guys help him out a lot in terms of the drafting and getting the board ready and all that stuff.
This the biggest. Let's be honest, fellas, and y'all know this. Y'all, this is a huge draft. It's a huge offseason. This is it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because if he pushes I remember we were saying, Walt, you don't have to get it all in this draft. Now we're in a position where we don't have to hit on 9 picks. You know what I'm saying? 9 guys probably ain't going to play on this roster. We need like 3 impact guys and maybe 2 key free agents. And I think, man, we ready to rock. You know what I'm saying? I think the getting the 5th best try hard Malcolm Rodriguez guy ain't gonna help us no more. No. You know what I'm saying? We need a guy that's gonna be an impact player on defense.
I think Brad Holmes is gonna do that though. I do.
That's it. Whether free agency or the draft. So I really believe that. I think that it's a difference, man. Broderick Martin is not going to help you. You know what I'm saying? This year, you got to take a guy who's going to play. So,
yeah, I mean, I definitely think this, and I said it before. I think this is the draft that makes sure 5-6 years from now we're still winning.
Yep, exactly.
Because it's going to reach a point in time where everybody ain't taking team-friendly deals. guys ain't taking below market. Their
No.
agents won't allow them to take below market. like that's just the way it is. You can't keep everybody, and it's going to be a point in time 2 years from now where, okay, you know what, St. Brown's making X amount of money a year. We hope Jameson performs explosively enough next year where we got to pay him, and we want to pay him. You're going to have to start letting some guys go. Everybody can't go. So, like I said, I think this draft is the draft to make sure that 5-6 years from now, okay, you know what? Those guys, some of those guys we drafted in year 1 and year 2 of the rebuild, those guys are gone now. We can move on from those guys because some of the guys we drafted in year 5, year 6 of the rebuild or whatnot, those guys are here to go. So, I mean, I love what they're doing. The most economical way to go towards winning is to build through the draft. Being honest about it, because only foolish teams just build the entire team through the draft. I mean, free agency or
You know
try.
what gives me so much kind of confidence in Brad Holmes around this draft though? Because a lot of people are talking about how he's picking later in the draft, right? But I've said that he has no problem picking it late in the draft. Brian Branch, Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, I feel like he does his best work in the later rounds, if we're gonna be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I still think Antoine Green could be someone that we could use next year. I still think that like a guy like Sorsdahl could be a huge key piece. Offensive lineman, especially that level that Sorsdahl played, it's gonna take him a little bit of time to get acclimated and kind of grow with it. But that's why I don't worry about this draft, man, because I think that the way he's drafted the last couple of drafts and how he's gathered talent, I think he's gonna be fine. I think they're gonna have free agency money to play with, obviously, and that's I think where they're gonna go and get the defensive players that they want. Because I really feel like they're gonna go out there and say, no, we need dudes that are ready to come in and play. We can't worry about rookies.
Yeah, and that's certain that makes sense because, like you said, Aaron Glenn, veteran guy, and it makes sense. You know what I'm saying, to have the perfect mix of, because I think that's what we're missing. Think about it on every level. Like on a defensive line, you got Aiden Hutchinson, young cat. You know what I'm saying. Obviously we mentioned Broderick Martin, Josh Pascal, right? Look at the linebacker core. You got Jack Campbell, Derek Burns, Malcolm Rodriguez to an extent, Anzalone, the elder statesman. You go to the cornerback situation, the safeties now with Branch and Kirby Joseph. We do need some guys, some veteran, like you said, Joe, that's ready to rock, man. That's veteran guys that's ready to win, man. So I think that could be key, like you said, on defense. And I think it benefits us more to have more depth. I mean, not more depth, but more like experience on defense.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
because
saying? Especially in the playoffs.
There's gonna be some things that you don't see, and you don't want your rookies getting just absolutely abused. Now, on the offensive side, you could have rookies that they can come and play, right? Defense, it's kind of like you get acclimated to like the way that like the other offense is going to run their game. You get acclimated to the way that you run your defensive scheme. Like, are you blitz heavy? Are you not blitz heavy? Are you playing the run? Whatever the case may be. That's why I think they're going to go very heavy in free agency, and I think they're going to make a trade. That's why I think they're going. I think that's the bold part. I think they're going to make a trade.
Yeah, because think about it. If with some experience, that San Francisco loss probably never happens. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. That they would have stopped the bleeding if we would have had, some not knocking our guys, but it's just like if we would have had a couple leaders on defense that's in key spots, maybe, the 49ers game don't happen the way it turned out the way it did. So, especially defensively. So,
well, I look at a team like Baltimore, right? And I think that I think they're a good team. I think Lamar's I give Lamar crap all the time, but in reality, I think that defense, like they need a guy, a veteran dude on that defense. Baltimore does. So, I mean, if you think about it like that way, like Detroit does, like I think that the 49ers, they have those guys, they had Nick Bosa, the Chiefs have Chris Jones, like look at those guys, man. They're veterans. Like that's what you build your team around, like veterans. And Hutch is gonna be that someday. Like he might be that next year, but you can't play the whole hope that he's gonna be the veteran presence that you want it to be,
I still think they need a young stud, another young stud in their front seven. I do. That's why it's like the whole Will Anderson thing from a year ago. I still think they wanted Will Anderson. They just weren't willing to go after up there and get him. But they love that school.
Yeah.
And you're talking about two more Alabama edge rushers pretty much out of that same exact mold of Will Anderson and Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell. Two guys we're going to discuss in a couple of days because we're going to go through the defensive players. But I still do. I would. Yeah, you did? Dallas Turner?
I took him. That was my first pick. I was going to tell you. The first pick with 29, I took Braswell. I'm going to post it like when my phone powers.
Yeah, I would just love to, even though I agree, you don't want to just keep getting younger and younger, especially at key spots. So you want to go out in free agency, get some vets, get some guys, especially along that defensive line that know exactly what their role is. But if we can put enough, because I'm not believing in James Houston anymore until I see it.
Right.
Like fans are still talking about what the hell he did the final 5 games of last year or whatnot. We didn't get anything from him this year. Now, granted, he was injured. I'm done talking about dudes until I start seeing it consistently. I don't give a damn about what you did the final handful of games 2 years ago and this and that. Until I see it from him consistently, I'll believe it. But there's nothing that's stopping me from if a Dallas Turner is on the board, or let's say, because Brad will move up to go get his guy. Let's say Dallas Turner is his guy. If somebody's picking that, and if he sees things getting a little too close for comfort at pick 22 or 23, and he sees his guy falling, he'll go up there and get it. I just want to see another dynamic guy because I do like Jack. I think Jack's going to be a hell of a player. Jack is going to be even better once you get more talent in front of him, though.
Yeah, next year. Yeah, he will be. Yeah, for sure.
That's why I don't go with this whole scope of all the Lions going to go out and get Danielle Hunter and Jalen Johnson and all that stuff. I think the linear way that they can get better is if they go after a guy like Danico Autry from Tennessee. I think that would be a really good pick, especially in the veteran presence. Then if you want to go the cornerback route, I love Stephon Gilmore. I know that people think that he's a little bit older in the tooth, whatever. But I think that if let's say you do go draft a cornerback in the draft, what better player to learn from than Gilmore and Sutton? You know what I'm saying? And I believe we'll have Jerry Jacobs back. And Jerry Jacobs is another guy. Like, I know people thrash on him all the time, but the dude was pretty damn good for an undrafted free agent. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they're gonna go big fish hunting. I think that they're gonna grab enough players where they're like, okay, when we go into the draft, maybe they do get a Dino Hunter, maybe they do get someone like that. But I do think that they're gonna go out and get those little moves, and I do think they're gonna get a rookie for the other side of the defensive line, like Isaac from Penn State, Chop Robinson, Trice, like you said, Turner. Like, there's a lot of good edge players I think that would complement Aiden in the best way. And they don't have to be guys like Hutch. They really don't. They just need to be guys that get to the passer. And you said it right. You said it right, Walt. I don't have any confidence in James Houston. And I remember last year, a lot of fool-ass Lions fans were talking to me last year saying, oh, we got James Houston. Look how it ended up.
Well, even Josh Pascal, like coming out of the draft, and I like Josh Pascal as a rotational, versatile defensive lineman, but I think some Lion fans have some very unfair, unrealistic expectations on him. Like, I think some people are expecting him to explode into this 11, 12 sack guy, and I don't think that's what he really is. He's another rotational guy that can, depending on what the matchup is on any given Sunday, he can give some guards some problems. He can give some tackles some problems from the 3-tech or whatnot, but for the most part, he's an undersized defensive lineman who plays hard. Mm-hmm. Good player. I thought on film he looked more like what they said Trayvon Walker was supposed to be.
Yeah.
He was a better football player on film.
Now I think Pascal will be a good interior rush guy.
Yeah. I think he'll be fine. I think another year tapped into this defense. I think it will be a recipe. Good, and y'all know it turns out like some players just turn the light bulb goes off, dude. Like you know what I'm saying, and you can't predict when that's gonna happen. But I think with him, like you said, Walt, because he's got some good traits already. I think he's another guy that could probably like Derek Barnes did. Remember, Derek Barnes just kind of popped, right? I mean, I don't think it was a flash in the pan. I think Derek Barnes knows he can play football now. You know what I'm saying? Now I think the same thing could happen, with Josh Pascal too.
You bring up a good point, Ashante, because I think it's the progression. I think a lot of people kind of rush the progression. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember, I do a lot of Detroit sports, so I always bring it back to that. But like Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green, like they always wanted those guys to be up early.
Yeah.
The Red Wings players like Casper and Edvinson and all these young kids, they want them to be up and playing. And the smart general managers, they take their time, they let them develop. And what I think Eisman did with the Red Wings, I think Holmes is going to do with the Lions this year. He recognizes that the time is now that they can kind of make a push right now. So they're going to go get some veterans. They're going to go make some moves. They're not going to wait around for the kids. But if the kids become good players, they're going to get their playing time. That's not going to be a problem. But you still just got to go get those guys that are veterans that you can count on no matter what. You know what they are. You know who they are, and you know what they're capable of. And
So
if a Pascal jumps off the board like you said with Derek Barnes, cool. We all good. Broderick Martin comes out of nowhere and starts playing like Snacks Harrison. We good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And then what y'all think? Okay, now like Tracy Walker, right now that $5.5 million, does that come? That's off the books right now for this free agency year, right?
Yep.
So that's even more. Like I think we had like 63 million or 65 million to start. I mean, that's huge. Like you said, Joe, maybe he's setting up to sign a guy that we kind of wouldn't even think was out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, how the hell we get this guy or whatever.
And another guy to watch though, as we get towards like free agency, is Kaminsky, because if they free up his money, he could free up another $5 million. So, I mean, if you're talking about the numbers game, I think that's when Dan Campbell said that they were gonna have to make some decisions, not based on like not on heart, but based on like the reality. I think that's what he was leaning at with like Walker and guys that have been there. You know what I'm saying? I think that they're starting to realize like they can't count on these dudes no more. They're trying to get to a new level, new devil.
Yeah.
Do you guys think there's just certain positional groups on this team or within the team in general that Brad Holmes just doesn't believe in spending a lot of money on? Because I was thinking the other day, like, is it possible that they could, the entire time they're here, they could kind of like nickel and dime the cornerback position and just get fill-in guys from here and there and just maybe invest? And I'm not saying that that's what I would do because I've been crying for a corner for 20 years. But
when he spent the money on Mosley and Sutton last year, I think that was a telltale sign that he tries to go get guys that could help him out. Now, I didn't think he think that Mosley was going to get hurt, and I don't think he thinks Sutton was going to be his number one cornerback the whole year. But that's just the reality. So I do think he's going to go after corner. Like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, did anyone see that coming? I mean, that was a guy that's predominantly a slot guy, But
any big money?
Yeah.
You think he goes out there and spends any big money or invests as a first round pick in a corner? Because there are some organizations, some GMs that feel like, you know what, if I'm going to invest a first round pick in a player, it's going to be the edge rusher instead of the corner.
That's smart, to be honest. I mean, the Chiefs, I think McDuffie was a first round pick, and that's the only one that they had.
No, it was all three of him, Karlaftis, and who was the third guy they took in the first round?
No, it wasn't Nick Bolton. Yeah.
I was talking about
Sky Moore. Oh no,
I was talking cornerback. Like they don't really, and you look at those two Super Bowl teams. Like Travarius Ward was a Chief a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that like if you're, I always tell people when you look at corner in the draft, I hate cornerback in the draft. And I hate when you think that the guy's going to be coming out there and he's going to be a good player right away. Because that is the hardest effing position to learn. Number one, in college, you're going against guys like damn, if you're a cornerback in the Big Ten, who are you going against? Who you going against?
See, that was what I was saying.
Everybody at Ohio State.
I mean, even those guys, like besides CJ Stroud, like was Justin Fields a legitimate passer? Was JT Barrett a legitimate passer?
No, but them boys was cooking. We saw it for years.
What I'm saying though is you look
Yeah.
at these cornerbacks in the NFL that are doing like really, really well, like in the first part of the draft. Like you look at Devin Witherspoon, right? That guy's kind of a cut from a different cloth. And Illinois is a different team because they play like a totally different scheme. But like you look at guys like him and the guy that you like, Christian Gonzalez, like those are guys that those are two guys every year that are going to be good, and the rest are going to be. So you guys want to go veteran.
Porter played pretty well. Porter had a pretty good season.
Yeah, but I think if you put yourself in Brad Holmes' position, are you really going to put your faith in a rookie cornerback? Because that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I mean,
see,
in theory, you want elite talent at every position.
If I was a general manager, I would never spend a first-round pick unless it's Jalen Ramsey. It's someone like that.
Well, remember how they felt about Ramsey? They thought he played too tall. They thought he was too stiff. They didn't think his short area quickness was good enough. They thought he should play safety. There was a lot of shit about him too that people were wrong on.
Yeah, but you know what happens with these dumbasses GMs, man. They always try to oversimplify things.
Yeah. But all right, fellas, man, we had these people for a long time tonight. I don't know, because the show in the next couple of nights is going to be very, very in-depth because it directly affects us as Lions fans, and that's the defensive side of the football. But, all right, Joe, man, plug your show.
Oh, yeah, Detroit Lions News podcast, and I'll probably have a new one come out tomorrow, so that'd be great. So, and I'll be doing daily videos for the rest of the time. I'll get you on Walt, too.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks,
you
Kendall.
and Ashante, too. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, fellas, take care. One pride.